Hello, greetings, welcome. This is Tyson and Teddy Talk, episode 5. I'm Teddy, that's Tyson.
Me.
I always forget to say that. I forget to introduce the one other person and who I am.
Well, you know, it's a process.
Important.
It's a learning process. We're slowly going.
So. Absolutely. It's a the idea of the show is we're just hanging out, catching up on a weekly basis, and you know, I don't want that to get any, I want that to still be organic of, this just came out of us just talking, so that's all I really want it to be. But I also realized, it is a show that I put out, so, I should at least have some sort of minimums of, people should hear, at the beginning, know that my name's Teddy, that yours is Tyson.
And, what is this
that's
about?
Pretty much
and
the
it's
standard.
kind of like, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
Dude, okay, today, I'm scared. But today we're gonna talk about our games of the year.
I know. I wrote my 10 favorite right before this.
I've had this list throughout
2
the year. Oh God, I'm so interested. So I've had this list throughout the year, and I keep adding to it and changing it around and whatnot. But I don't know. At the end zone right here. In the last hour, I mean, it's already passed. It's January 2nd when we're recording this. But, I think I have to put a different game at my number one. I really do. But I'm scared that it's a recency bias. But I don't know.
You just gotta make it. You gotta pull the trigger. I pulled the trigger so many times. I was just like, hey, out of these two, which? And then, you can't just, dwell. But I will say that Ghost of Tsushima is in my top 10.
Ooh.
But I'll continue with Ghost of Tsushima is my number 10 because it was either that or Resident Evil 3.
Yeah.
And I love Resident Evil 3. The remake was good. It was really short, a little too short. And I only played it once. I didn't play it on the other difficulties, but I really liked what they did. But it couldn't be in the top 10. So it was that or Ghost of Tsushima.
Okay, that's your number 10. I guess we're getting started right here. Yeah, look at Frank in the back.
Stop it!
Look at him. He's going after the curtain.
Hey.
Oh my God.
Oh God, cats.
That's amazing. I saw it in the background, but didn't want to say anything.
It really sucks.
Oh my God. That's amazing. Watch the video version on Tyson and Teddy Talk on YouTube. Also, I'm cracking open this great value mocha cold brew. It's a Walmart brand. I'm gonna see how this tastes.
I'm on water.
Live taste test right now. Okay, that's actually really solid.
It's probably really.
That's not bad.
Sugary.
Oh, probably. God, I'm going back on keto very soon. Man, when my mom brought the fudge is when I went off keto, and I have not been back on since. And that was around my birthday, so around the 15th. And it's so I have put on all that weight back in a month. Not really, but a good bit of it.
That's why.
So that's going to change.
You'll never find me on a diet or anything like that because I can't.
Yeah, I don't know. But the thing is it's
all about not in what is it in moderation.
It's technically not supposed to be a diet. It's an eating lifestyle, and it really was because I ate that way almost the entire year. So I don't know. It's not really something that I go off of regularly. It's kind of just more of a habit at this point. So I'm gonna go back to it pretty soon because it's a lot of sugar. And sugar is not great for my anxiety. So I've been like, man, it's gonna be nice to go back. And it's also just what I know too.
And meat that I eat instead of sugar. I don't really eat a lot of sugar.
Well, I mean, the whole reason as to why I did keto in the first place was for anxiety and whatnot, because even if it's not pure sugar, like carbs turn into sugar in your stomach and still like fuck with your mind a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why it's really nice. But also, it's cheap in comparison to how I've been eating when I just let myself go wild. So and it's good just because I know how to do it. It's more of it's easier for me at this point. But I'm gonna do that soon. But for now, this has how much sugar in it? This has, oh god, it's a good bit. It's a good bit. For now, we're gonna drink this bad boy, dude. So I'm doing this today, and then later today at 7 p.m. I have one of my viewers, Avatar guy, reached out to me and was like, he was talking to me about this in chat at one point. And then it just kind of evolved, and he was like, "Oh, I'd love to sit down and talk with you about like this, and like what got you started with streaming." And he just started listing a bunch of questions, and I was like, "Well, it sounds like you just want to do an interview." I'm like, "I'll do it," and he's like, "Yeah, dude, sure." So we like scheduled that, so I'm gonna put that up on my YouTube. So I'm like basically doing back-to-back kind of shows today, so I'm like, that's fun. This is what a day would be like in a dream world, you know?
Yeah.
Just recording shows and shit. So that's my day today. So I'm gonna drink this to be energized, you know? Also, Tyson, before we get to the games, because I'm stalling because I'm still not sure about my top 10.
Just pull the trigger.
You want to know what
So
show
easy.
I started last night?
What show?
Schitt's Creek.
Schitt's Creek. Best show of that show ended in 2020.
I
So
honestly expected more of a reaction.
My
from you.
favorite show of 2020 because there wasn't really a lot.
Exactly why I figured you'd be like, oh shit, but you're just like, oh okay.
It's a good show. It's the first season's not great.
Yeah, I will say that so far. I'm not like loving it. It's fine, and there are genuine moments where it's like, oh, this is really good. This is funny.
Yeah,
but
I started the first season
I'm
like a
hoping
bunch of
it gets better.
times, and I never made it through the first season. And then I think it was just because of quarantine. I was like, okay, let's just push through. And then
I remember
like,
hearing that from other
finally
people
got
too,
to
which
I
is
don't know
why.
when, but once it clicks, it's just like so good.
Interesting.
Once you just like
okay, I'm
you
excited.
get the characters and you just like kind of get what the show is.
Yeah,
I don't know what happens, but it just like clicks and,
There's a
and
moment.
it's just so good.
cool. I'm excited. I like watching shows, like legit. Some of my favorite shows are shows that have 20-minute episodes. You know, like
Yeah.
The Office, Parks and Rec. I mean, Avatar. Like even a serious show. But I kind of was the last show that I watched was I went through Queen's Gambit. So like I just did a quote unquote serious dramatic show. So I was like, oh, let's go to like a more lighthearted one now. So
Yeah.
that's why I started that. And they're 20-minute episodes. So those kind of shows I don't hesitate starting because it's just like I can burn through this. But
Probably-
if it's like Umbrella Academy season 2, that's literally only 10 episodes, but they're all like 45 minutes to an hour. I'm like, no, I can't do that. That's
It's
such a
probably the
commitment.
only sitcom, I guess, that like the finale made me cry next to Scrubs. Not the Scrubs
yeah,
season 9 finale
I cry
because that
so
was
easily.
that was we don't talk about Scrubs season 9. We don't talk about it.
That's what I hear. That's what I
Um,
hear. How bad was that? Like,
I mean,
it's wild.
like
As somebody who's never seen Scrubs, I've never only
it
seen,
really
like,
just
clips.
didn't need to happen. It's not like it was bad. It was just like it was one of those. There was the perfect ending for all of the characters,
Yeah.
and it was like just like a perfect series ending. And they're like, "Oh yeah, we're doing another season with new cast members." Like it's not even about like JD. It's not about like Zach Braff. It's about this girl Lucy. And so like the inner
I
monologue.
hear she uses 100% of her brain.
No, that's a different Lucy. But because like the whole show of like the real Scrub show, it's like JD's narrating everything to the audience, to
Yeah.
himself in his
Okay.
mind.
That's
And then
cool.
in season 9, it switches to this girl Lucy, and she's the one narrating it. JD's still in it, but he's like a teacher now at the hospital, and it's just like
That just seems like a spin-off show.
it's a spin-off show with like the characters still there, but like you still cared more about the It was like
Yeah.
Star Wars. You cared more about JD
Huh.
and those characters rather than the
man.
new characters. But
I'm just now realizing how many things I have to talk about, dude. Oh my god.
the only good thing that came from that is Dave Franco.
was
that was
he
the first-
in that season, not the
Yeah,
others?
he was in that last season. That was the first time I remember seeing Dave Franco. So, and like where he was like really funny.
I've cried at a lot of season finales.
It's only been 2 now.
Well,
for me.
I don't cry, but I tear up a lot where my eyes get watery. You know, like that happens at a lot of shows and movies. Fucking watched Lord of the Rings again during Christmas week. I think I talked about that last week, but like fucking every fucking time he gets to my friends, you bow to no one. Waterworks. Every time. I can't stop myself.
See,
it's so good.
I don't cry in Endgame anymore, but like I get like choked up in different parts.
Yeah.
Before it wasn't when Tony dies. 'Cause I
Endgame's
was
so
like, whatever.
I never cried at that either.
I cried at like the
that part didn't
funeral.
get me.
The funeral was worse.
Yeah, the funeral was sad the first time. It doesn't
And-
ever get me anymore, but it was sad the first time.
Yeah. And like then when Peter goes to see him when he's like dying.
Yeah. Oh my god. I mean, I cry every time, but it's like, oh, this is probably the most reliable part where I tear up a little bit in Endgame is when they're in the fight and Peter like comes over to Tony and it starts explaining everything. He's like, oh, and then Doctor Strange shows up and blah, blah, blah. And then like Tony just hugs him.
Yeah.
Like that fucking gets me every time. Cause they're like happy tears, but like that's usually what I cry from is like happy tears.
Yeah.
Is like a really emotional, good moment.
It's
is,
the same with,
is
like,
usually what gets me.
Yondu's like
Yeah.
his, like,
Oh, that
funeral.
one got me
The
originally.
funeral at the very
first
end
time.
because like all of them show up again because he was like outcast, but then that was really good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Fucking. So, Lord of the Rings, I watched that like 2 weekends ago. Oh, another thing that I've been really into lately for some weird reason, the last like 3 days, I've been watching a lot of episodes of Hot Ones, the YouTube show.
Oh,
It's so fucking good.
it is. Have they done?
It's
I guess
so
they haven't really
great.
done new ones this year.
No, but I just fell down a rabbit hole of all of the, because once you watch one, then it's like, oh, Shia LaBeouf, Terry
Yeah.
Crews, Scarlett Johansson. And I just started watching like all of them. And it's so good because
It really is.
it's such like a religious experience for almost all the guests. Like
Yeah.
once they finish, they're all, most of them are not really mad because most of
Well, they
them
know what they're
kind of
getting
knew.
into, sort of.
They went into it knowing what they were getting into, right? So like they get upset and they're in pain, but like Sean's questions are so good that they're so impressed. And they're so impressed with like the quality of everything that by the end, because I think they go into it expecting it to be a lower quality thing because it's a YouTube thing, and a lot of them are like big mainstream celebrities. So a lot of them will end and be like, "That was awesome, dude! Holy shit!" Like, and they'll like at the end of Terry Crews' one. I love how they show the little behind the scenes like after it's officially done rolling. They show that for like a couple seconds.
Yeah.
And in Terry Crews' one, he was like, dude, I got to get your phone number. We're best friends for life now. I was like, it's so good. It's so like wholesome in a weird way.
I haven't watched those in a while.
They're
I've been-
so fun.
I've been just
They're good.
trucking
Good time.
through Shield. I am now in season
Yeah.
6. So I'm finally
Woo.
in new territory.
Hell yeah.
I gotta say, well, I guess
Oh,
this
that's
is,
so cool.
This is sort of spoilers, but like the
fine.
show's
This
so
show's,
old.
it's been over for a year, and it's been on Netflix for about 6 months, I think.
Yeah.
The new,
like, I fell
all
off.
the seasons.
I fell off at the second half of season 5, like when they come back to Earth, and then
Yeah.
I think that's when I kind of just stopped watching. So I finished that,
okay.
and then I was surprised that I didn't get choked up, but I think it's because I knew that somehow they would bring them back. Because like Coulson, well, I guess Fitz dies.
Yup.
But I wasn't sad because I was like, okay,
wild.
well, there's 2 seasons left, and they're not doing a show without Fitz, so somehow
Yeah.
they're gonna find a way to make him back, to bring him back.
Oh man.
And then
Okay,
they,
I gotta talk about it once you're done with all of it.
and then they, and then like Coulson, they're like, oh yeah, he only has like a week left to live or whatever. But then I'm like, they're gonna find a way to bring him back too. And then so then season 6 starts. I like the space stuff. I like
Yeah.
the very Guardians of the Galaxy-esque
It really is, yeah.
them in space. I don't like the alternate universe Coulson storyline so far. I'm just kind of like, this is boring.
It's kind of meh for a while. Like
Yeah.
once they kind of understand what it is more, it is kind of okay. I will say that whole thing was interesting as an idea, but I don't think they handled it super well as like
And
a
like,
villain.
it's
and
really
all
hard to
that
picture him,
overall.
even if he's like acting really tough. It's just like, no, he's just not a villain guy. Like,
Well,
he's
it's like
just-
we've seen 5 seasons of him being Coulson. You know, it's hard.
True, but I will say, like, with
Immediately
Fitz
whiplash.
in the framework, when he's like
Oh,
the
goddamn,
doctor,
yeah, dude.
man, he is like perfect as that.
Fucking nailed that. That was really cool.
And I loved like when in season 6 when he like pretends, or not pretends, but like he almost thinks that he sees the doctor outside of the framework to then like give Daisy back her powers, even though she doesn't
Yeah.
want her powers. It's just like, oh man.
Fitz, I think.
Fitz is probably the best character of that whole show.
Oh yeah. I think for some weird reason, in hindsight, looking back on it, I think the writers had some sort of weird obsession with Fitz because they give him the best stories, and like he has
Yeah.
the best character development out of like everyone by far. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of wild. He goes through so much by the end of it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen this yet, but I'm pretty sure you have. But like
The last episode was when they're in like the casino and Daisy and
Yeah.
Gemma are like tripping balls.
that was really funny.
That
like
was good.
surprisingly,
I was like,
I was having a
this is
good
really
time there. Here's one thing I wanted to address with you when you got to the point, because I started to mention it a couple of weeks ago, and then I was like, I'll just wait. I think it's the end of season 5, I believe, when they're on the Earth, and it's like the last episode is like when Fitz dies and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay. So I think they had like a holiday break or something between the penultimate. Actually, no. I think it was at the end of that season. It was either at the end of that episode or at the end of the penultimate. They had like a break. They had some sort of break where the episode ended, and you were like, "Fuck, are they gonna actually?" And then Endgame or Infinity War came out, and we saw the snap, and it was
yeah.
like, "Holy shit!" It actually seems like they might connect these two. The times where how they were released, I was like, when they come back, they're either just not going to act like anything happened whatsoever, and then at that point we know, okay, well, fuck it, they're done
Which
with
is
any sort of
weird.
canon whatsoever. And that's what happened. They came back, but it was weird because they did kind of set it up like it could have been that.
Well,
like
they
the
even, in
world-ending
second-
event could have
in
been
the second, the penultimate episode. I'm pretty sure it was the penultimate and not the final
Yeah.
one. But they're like talking about
Yeah.
like this war that's coming to Earth. They even say
Yeah.
Thanos is coming, and then like they literally say it. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's still connected.
It
and
really
then-
it completely felt like they were absolutely setting that up. And then they just didn't. Like when it came back, I was like, oh, we're just not gonna.
Maybe
okay.
maybe they all just survive.
Guess I gotta just accept that. Yeah. But at that point, I was like, I gotta just accept that it's just not. We're just in a different universe now.
Yeah.
Where they are not connecting that.
That's fine.
But I was so bummed for a little bit because it was so weird. Because it really did feel like they were setting that up.
I
And then
still
they
want
just didn't
Quake.
touch
I
it
still
at all.
want Quake in the MCU. I still
It
think
could happen.
it could
happen.
possibly happen. We need
Never
more
know these
female
days, again.
superheroes in the MCU. So
Yeah.
and she has cool powers.
Yeah. Yeah. And like she's very strong too. Like,
Yeah.
you know, is it the whole thing in season 5 is that she fucking destroyed the world.
Yeah.
The Earth. She quaked the
It's
planet
cool.
apart.
It was cool watching this, like binging the whole show, because then I see like
Yeah,
Sky
man.
at the very beginning, how she's this like nerdy, lives in
She's
her
a
van.
hacker. She's a hacker. living in a
She's really
van.
smart. She's a hacker, but she doesn't know how to fight. And now she's like this badass.
Yeah.
It's just like, that's a really cool character development too.
Speaking of watching a show from the beginning. So the one more show that I also wanted to talk about as well is, so I've been watching Hot Ones. I started Schitt's Creek like a couple nights ago. What are the Rings? And then I'm pretty sure this is it. I restarted Attack on Titan from episode 1. Because let me tell you, dude, I mentioned it last week. The final season is wild. It's so good. And like I found a couple of friends to talk about who are also to talk about it with who are also watching the final season, and one of them has read the manga, and I basically was like, here are my worries. I'm very worried for this final season. Game of Thrones has me scared. Are they gonna fuck this up? And she was like, so they're following the manga, like apparently beat by beat. Like so far, the first 3 or 4 episodes are like almost exactly the manga. Yeah. And she was like, and it's gonna go down. And I was like, okay, I should not be worried. Like the way she has talked about it, I have zero reason to be worried. So I'm fucking stoked. And like literally going back to episode 1, they had some of these twists for like halfway through season 2, end of season 3, absolutely planned from the beginning. And it's clear, like, when you go back and watch, and it's fucking wild. Like, going back and watching, knowing what I do about some of these characters that are revealed, like, way later on is so cool. Like, they very clearly, like, separate them and put them together, and originally you think that, like, oh, one of them is doing this just because of this reason that they kind of vaguely give you in episode 1. But no, that's not the reason, and you can see now why. It's so good. Like if they finish the final season and they fucking nail it, I will absolutely preach from the rooftops for everyone to watch the show because the writing will have been incredible. It's dope. But I started Schitt's Creek too because like I wanted something to kind of watch a little more casually because rewatching Attack on Titan is still kind of casual because I've seen it before, but I am still watching it subbed. So like I do have to pay attention. But, and I'm telling you, season 1, episode 5, worst cliffhanger I've ever seen in anything ever. It's terrible.
Like, binging stuff just makes it a different experience.
It does.
Especially with like certain shows, some shows should be binged. Some shows like are fine with that extra week, watching it week by week. But I've just been Shield, and then I think I mentioned this to you that I wanted to talk about, but I've been watching a lot of this streamer, this Code Miko.
You did mention this. Oh my god. So I also watch a little bit of this as well.
This was about, I don't know, 2 to 3 weeks ago, maybe a little bit more. And I think it was in like Jace's stream, and they were talking about VTubers, and I was like, I'm never gonna understand VTubers. It's like, it's just not my thing. I don't get it. Like, I think that's fine that people get it, but like, I just don't get it. And then JJ sent me like a clip of Code Miko, and he's like, yeah, I think you'd really like her. She just like interviews people, and that's it. And so then I watched that, and like it was a hilarious clip. And then like I just started going down the rabbit hole of all of her really funny clips, and I was like, this is amazing. And then I've just like followed her on Twitch, and then now I'll just like watch her streams, and they're just so good. And it's such a weird thing, but it's really cool.
So to the people who don't know what VTubing is, because I didn't for the longest time, it's very odd. It's basically just like, I mean, it depends on who is doing it with like the technology, I guess, but it's kind of like motion capture of turning yourself into an animated thing, and you're just streaming in like an animated world. It was apparently a really big thing in Japan, has been for a long time. But America's like now more picking up on it. I watched her entire interview with Hassan because I like Hassan. And I watched the whole fucking thing, and it was like an hour and a half long. And she's just genuinely her like actual technology is wild and like way above literally anyone else, and it's costed like $30,000 apparently. 2, she's apparently just incredibly talented and like codes all of this herself. And 3,
one woman show.
Really funny, just very funny, has a great personality, like super very talented and entertaining just naturally. And it's like, oh, okay, that's fine. You can have all the talent in the world. That's like okay.
But it's almost like the
unfair.
Miko is the what is it? I guess the icing on the cake or anything. But because she's actually really she's funny. And she has done
stream
streams.
herself and be fine.
She does technician streams.
She calls herself the technician.
So she does like those streams, and it's still just as funny.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, like she's already charismatic and funny and smart, and then you just have Miko on top that is just very in your face, and I think that's the.
Yeah.
But yeah, like just the
It's a
setup,
little unfair.
the whole setup when she has like the different things, and oh man, it's just cool. I don't know, it's really
It's
funny.
great. I've seen her now 3 or 4 different times in the middle of an interview be like, "Do you want to see my gun?" Just pulls out a gun.
Just like all these different
great.
outfits, and I watched her interview Vern Notice.
Yeah,
and
I
that
haven't
one
seen
was
that
really
one.
good.
I saw her
Yeah.
talk to Pokey for a little bit as well,
Yeah,
and
Pokey was
I
good.
watched the whole hour and a half Hassan one. The Hassan one was really funny because they eventually just very clearly started flirting, like very obviously, and it was both uncomfortable and incredibly entertaining to watch. It was great. But to those, I mentioned this to Tyson on my stream, but like for the podcast listeners, I opened up our YouTube channel and she was the only subscription that we had. And I was like,
on that one.
I was like, did I do that? I don't think I did that.
So I was just
I thought
watching
that
a whole
was
bunch.
funny. Yeah, she's great. So, okay. I guess it's time.
it's
Game of the year.
Game of the year watch. No, that's
Here's
probably
the thing.
copyrighted from like IGN or something.
Yeah,
Okay,
it
Kat-
is. That's Game Scoop
Kat,
copyrighted.
Say hello and then say goodbye, because you're in my way a little bit.
Look at his eyes; they're so yellow. Oh my god,
You don't even see. You don't say hello to the camera. Okay, that's enough.
he's just limp. He's like, I go wherever you tell me. It's fine. I'm chilling.
No, he goes wherever he wants.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. We haven't talked about this at all, but like I listened to another podcast, which by the way, shout out. Let me get the official name because I've like run out of podcasts, right? I should shout out these 2 podcasts because I've listened to these this last weekend because everything is on break right now and I'm fully caught up with everything, which is rare for me. So I've been listening to like just random stuff. Like one of the friends who I've been talking Attack on Titan with was like, "Oh, I'm on a weekly podcast where we talk about it," and I was like, "Fuck it, I'll watch all of them." So I watched like 3 hour and a half long podcasts about the show. So I need to grab that one too. But I also watched it's called the Burnout Brighter podcast, which is very good. I've quite enjoyed the couple episodes I've listened to that of. And they talked about like Game of the Year. They had one Game of the Year episode, and then they had another episode talking all about Immortals. And I was like, this is perfect for me. But then the Game of the Year episode was very like, oh man, there are so many people out here doing podcasts, and they're doing like, you know, they're like Bryce doing Ready Set Gamecast. They're trying to make their podcast a thing, and we're just being dicks. We're just dicking around, you know. That's all we're doing.
Yesterday, and it was just the gif of from. Have you seen the movie Forgetting Sarah Marshall?
I have not. No, I'm sorry.
Really? Oh my
that-
man,
we-
watch that movie. That's one
so
of the
many
best
movies.
movies.
So
But
many.
there's a clip with Paul Rudd
seen The
because
Godfather.
Paul Rudd's a surfing teacher, and he's trying to teach.
Of course he is.
Yeah, he's just like some stoner surfing teacher.
Nice.
He's where like the line where it's like, when life gives you lemons, say fuck lemons, then bail.
Nice.
Anyways,
great.
he's teaching Jason Segel, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, how to surf. And then like he's like, okay, pop up. And he pops up and then he's like, no, do less. And it's just like this whole like, I don't know, 30 seconds of like, do less. No, do less, do less. And so like I tweeted that and I was like, that's what I'm gonna, because I have a really bad problem of overthinking and trying to be like
I do too.
not over organizing, but just being like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna do this, and then as soon as like one thing doesn't happen,
Then
it
you
literally
just
just
cancel
all
all the
fall.
rest?
It just like it's an avalanche of just like
Yeah.
it just and I'm like, okay, well, whatever, I'll try it again another time. But it's like part of it is maybe putting too much pressure on whatever certain thing. And so
Yeah.
like I kind of just want to
That's
not like
completely
do
fair.
less things, but just like think less about said things.
Fucking relatable.
And so I'm just gonna like
Stopping
when I want to
overthinking
stream,
is
I just
a
want to
great
stream.
goal.
If maybe I want to put out a video of just like some gameplay and then like edit that up. Like, I don't want to have too much of a.
You kind of end up locking yourself into shit, and then like if this doesn't exactly happen, then I'm not gonna do any of it. Then you end up like not doing one thing and then not doing anything.
Yeah.
So you're like, well, shit. I totally get that. My one of my biggest goals throughout the entirety of 2020, and even like I don't know, from 2019 on, I've tried very hard because I realized how dangerous it is, and like I absolutely went through a period in my life where I fucked myself up so much with worry and anxiety and overthinking that I just fucking became unrecognizable. So like I know how dangerous that really can be. So I've recognized the importance of absolutely just living in the moment and trusting yourself and just fucking being here.
Good old Nike. Just do it.
Just do it. Just do it. Or just don't.
Or don't. But then if you don't think about like, oh, I should be doing it. And then if you do it, don't think like, oh, I should be. Like, you just gotta.
I mean, to be real, like throughout a lot of today, I've been worrying about some specific shit. And then it's like, I have to stop because I know this is the case, but it has stopped my worry a lot of the times, but it doesn't always. A lot of the times I do have to stop myself and be like, that worrying about this is not going to help you in any way. It's not going to help you achieve the thing. It's not going to help you get closer to it at all. It's only going to get you further from it because worrying is damaging. It's not only unproductive, it's also damaging. So it's like, I have to, even though for some weird reason your brain's like, no, I just got to think about it more. I got to figure it out, right? Yeah. And it's like, no, dude,
got to write it down. I've got to make spreadsheets. I've got to make plans. Yeah. I got to do all this. I got to like every half an hour of today. I
got to make sure that I figure out how to make it happen. You know?
No, you just gotta.
A lot of times, there's nothing you can do about it. Yeah. You just wait. You just continue to live your life and do the best that you can every day, and then it'll happen. You know? Overthinking is absolutely dangerous, and I am completely with you on that goal to stop overthinking and setting.
And it's a process. Like, it's not going to happen.
Standards.
Like, you're not going to just say like, oh, okay, 2021, I'm not going to overthink, because you're setting yourself up to fail. Like, you're going to say, I'm going to eventually try to like think less about a lot of things.
Throughout 2020, I've definitely overthought less. And I mean, the biggest goal is to learn to recognize when you're doing it and then stop yourself. I mean, that's the biggest goal with any sort of mental health thing, like overthinking, anxiety. Like, that was the biggest thing there, is if you can learn to see it and see when it's happening, then it's like, oh shit, then you can actually stop. Like, that's the biggest goal. So a lot of the times that is the goal, is like learn to recognize when it's happening. And then like, even though in your head, it's like, I feel so bad about stopping this because I feel like I need to do it.
Yeah.
You have to just make yourself stop, because you know that it's better to stop. It's just it's hard sometimes to push yourself to actually stop. And that's also partially, like, I have OCD, so that's something that I've talked with my therapist with in the past, is like, people with OCD can get stuck in thought processes of like ruminating. It's like you can't fucking get yourself out of it. But once you do, you're like, oh. That's like, you felt in that moment like you needed to finish the thought process, like there was some sort of conclusion you needed to get to. But then when you get out, you're like, oh no, there was
nothing.
This didn't need to be there at all. So yeah, like learning to recognize that and then forcing yourself to stop, super fucking helpful. Absolutely. But let's see, I did find the other show. It's called the Cross Media Show, and it's on the Penultimate Conquest YouTube channel. They talked about Attack on Titan, and they did 3 episodes on it. One was on, I think the first episode was on episode 1 and 2. Yeah. And then the next one was on 3, and then the next one was on 4. And so I listened to all of that as well. So shout out to those podcasts. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's funny. I was listening to the Burnout Brighter podcast, and he went through like, oh, this is going to be our formula for like what we're doing for Game of the Year and all. And I'm just like, I imagine me and Tyson are just going to get on and figure it out. Like, these are my top 10 favorite games of this year.
Usually we'll just talk about like the final 3, because like the other ones, obviously, like they're in the back of the the list, so then you can talk about just them a little bit. But yeah, like I don't know. We probably have a lot of the same.
Yeah.
It's 2:27 on the West Coast, best coast.
Time do I have on my timer? Okay. We got like 30 minutes, so fucking we can talk about each 10 of these if we want, as long as we're relatively fast. I'd be down for that. Because I really only played, like, these are the 10 new games that came out this year that I played, to be honest. Like, I don't think I played very many more than this. So I'd be down for that. And it is very odd because my list is... It's so weird because they are my top 10 favorite games. But, like, if I were to reorganize this around, like, the 10 best games that I played this year, it would be a different list.
But the thing
for
is,
what
like,
I view as the best. Which is weird. That I liked other games more than the ones that I viewed as the best. But
no, but well, I guess I'm just like in alignment where it's like the ones that I think are the best are the because that's your subjective. I don't know. That's your own subjective like.
There are
rating.
certain games that I enjoy more than a game that I would have rated higher. Like if I were rating these games on like a scale out of 100, right? Like I would give certain games a higher score, but they are lower on my list because I didn't enjoy them as much. But that's not any fault of the game. It's completely a personal preference and whatnot. But I recognize that, and it's a very weird thing that like in my own weird critic brain, I would score these differently than how I have them ranked on my list. I don't know why, but it would be the case. The new games are weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess mine are just like, yeah, this is... I guess I rated them on what I think is like the best. But those are also like my favorite. I don't know.
This list is upsetting too because like there are a lot of games that came out this year and even a lot of them that I own that I just haven't played that I would like to, but I just haven't. So it's like I just haven't had the time. Like 2020 was a very good year. Like I showed this on my stream the other night, last night specifically. I say that all the time. I'll say the other day when I mean literally yesterday. It's a skill up video that he did that wasn't a game of the year video, but it's titled A Look Back at Most of the Games That Defined 2020. And he mentioned how like if a game is not in the video, it's probably in his game of the year list. He tried to like include basically all of the others. But it was super well done, and it was like it went like month by month, so it was super fun to look back on. I love that kind of shit. It was very like Game Awards hype trailer, kind of like Fall Guys was huge at this bit, and like all. So it was so fun. Like this has been a fucking great year for games, to be honest.
Okay. Well, so the video version is gonna have a nice little. My cat changed the scenes in OBS.
That was so funny because I couldn't see what you were talking about.
Yeah, because I see the scenes changed. I'm like, what? So yeah, that'll be fun.
Good job, Franklin.
You'll have to watch and find when this happens.
There you go, Tyson and Teddy talk. I did like the explosion at the beginning of the last video. That was nice.
Fun.
And I thought it was funny because like that we do technically explain that, but like only an hour into the video.
Oh yeah.
Somebody's then gonna be like, "Oh, that's why there was an explosion." Oh my god. Okay, so let's just go through it. I guess I'm pulling the trigger as my number one. Oh god, I don't know. I might end up moving these around as I go, but I'm gonna start from the bottom.
No, these are locked in right now.
No, I might move these around.
Then no.
What's locked in is what I say on video. That is what's gonna be locked in.
It's not
you can't see my Google document.
It's just games, and they're just. I don't know.
Hey, we were just talking about how we overthink. Okay.
Exactly. This is the thing. It's like that's why when I made this list, I pulled the trigger and I was like, "Hey, you're going over here. You're going over here."
Okay, I'm probably gonna just leave it as it is. I'm gonna say that number 10. Oh shit. Okay, number 10 is locked in. I'm gonna say number 10 and 9 are locked in right now. Number 10 for me is Rogue Legacy 2. which is in early access, so it's not fully out, and that's why it's so low, because honestly, it's really good, and it's very cool, and they've added a lot of stuff. As somebody who really likes Rogue Legacy, they added a lot of cool shit, but it is very much not done. Like, there's a lot left to go.
Is it on the Epic Game Store?
I think it's on Steam. I think I bought it on Steam.
Okay.
I think so.
Epic. I can't remember.
It's really solid. Like, I love the art style, too. Like, the art is so impressive. And it is very much an evolution of the first one, but it's just, there's a lot left. And I'm pretty sure that when they added another, because I think they added another area, but I think when they did that, they, like, wiped everyone's save. And I was like, well, fuck. For a roguelite where your progress is, like, you're kind of grinding, I was like, I don't want to do that again, so I'm going to wait until that's out. But it is very good, and the music's really cool. The art is definitely different, but beautiful. I really did like it, for sure.
My number 10.
Then you said your 10 was Ghost?
Ghost of Tsushima. It's a good game. I wish that they had a lot of, I guess, accessibility options, just like different options. Because some of the combat just does not feel good. The story is very vanilla. I will say that the side stories, like the chapters when you get because you get different chapters with each, like, I guess, side story. Like, I forget the names, but like there was the one where
Tales.
The one dude where you were going after his old apprentice. Like, those were really cool. The side stories,
those were really
cool.
good. Yeah.
But the main story was literally just like, hey, here's the bad guy. And then we're just going to push him up the map throughout the whole game. And then you'll probably kill him at the end, because I haven't finished it, because I was like, this is too boring to... It was just very, very boring.
It's a take. My Ghost of Tsushima is much higher, so I'll talk more about that when we get
But
there.
I'm probably further in the story than you.
Yeah, you definitely got further, for sure. My number 9 is Spiritfarer, and only because I have not played it as much as I would like. I really did enjoy that game. I did try it. I don't know how far I got. I got about, I don't know, maybe about 5 to 10-ish hours. So I did play it a good bit. It's super cute. The music is great. The art is gorgeous. Like, it's such a very unique indie game that's like tells a story about like death and grief and loss, and like it's very charming. It has a lot more Stardew Valley sort of like farming aspects than I would have thought. I remember I didn't demo it, but I watched Bryce and Darian play it at PAX, and we were there with like one of the developers. And when he originally started to tell us the idea of the game, because I had seen it before, but I didn't hear anything about it. I just saw like the original trailer, and then he told us, "Oh, it's like Stardew Valley mixed with," and I was like, "Wait, what? Hold on, what?" And then he kind of explained like the farming sort of aspects. Stardew Valley is one of my favorite video games of all time. I have a list there as well that I need to update, because I started keeping a list of my favorite games of all time recently.
I kind of wish that Game Pass didn't have it on PC, because then I probably would have bought it on Switch. Yeah, it's on PC Game Pass. And so like
the perfect
when I saw it on PC Game Pass, I'm like, okay, cool, I'll download it there. But then it's just like
That's fair.
I never play it on my like PC.
Yeah.
But if I had it on my Switch, I probably would have just bought it. Like, I probably would have just played it there, which I might still do.
Yeah. You honestly should. I'll look out for if
I think it's like Star Renegades. That's another game that I saw. I was like, oh, that looks so cool, and that'd be perfect on Switch. And then it was like, oh, free on, or I guess it's on Game Pass PC.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'll get it there. Then I never play it because it's just, I don't know why. It's a weird thing.
Stardew on Switch is the perfect game. Like, I played it when it first came out that summer of, I think, 2016 or something. And I remember like taking it over to my parents' house on the weekend on my laptop and like just playing more, because it was so much fun. And then when it came out to PS4, I was like, fuck it, I'm buying it again, playing it. And then I played the first 20 hours on PC and then on PS4 again. And then when it finally came to Switch, I'm like, okay, this is it. I'm not ever playing it anywhere else. And then I did buy it on Switch, and I've probably played about 50 hours maybe on Switch. I don't know. But I've definitely gotten a lot further on Switch. It's so good, dude. It's legitimately
I've really only got like one game I'm playing
one of
right
my
now.
favorite games, which is an MMO, so you should be
MMO, yeah.
okay.
That's true.
Um,
So
let's see.
my
But yeah, Spiritfarer is great, and I wish I had spent more time with it, but
You always can.
I'll probably go back to it
Yeah.
at some point.
perfect thing about games.
That's a lie.
My number 9 is a game that I probably will go back to. I'm taking a big break because I'm waiting for all of the bugs to be ironed out of this game. But the game is Cyberpunk 2077.
There it is.
It's a great game.
I'm honestly a little surprised it's not higher because I know you have been really liking it.
I have been, but like so I played it a little bit on the weekend, or I guess this is the weekend now, but like I've had the past 2 days off. I played it a little bit, and I think it might be part of like I did this to myself because I turned into this crafting god where I tried to get like super rich, and then I'm like, okay, what am I doing in the story? And I'm like, okay, I think I'm doing this. It took a long time to like make all that money and like get all those crafting
Nice.
parts. And I kind of realized that like I like the main story, but there's a lot of just like busy work and a lot of like driving to one encounter to then driving to another encounter. So I kind of just want to power through the story, but I'm going to wait a little bit because I've had a couple times where I got in my car and my car launched itself into like the river.
Sure, why not?
And so I'm like, okay, fine, I'll get out. Then even if you swim, you still have stamina. So like, even if I'm above water, I still have stamina and I can't regenerate stamina. I'm like, okay, where can I can like run or swim to the shore, but there was no ledge for me to get up. So then I just drowned. And I'm like, fuck. Took all that time and I just drowned anyways. So yeah, there's some funny bugs, but then there's some bugs that are just like, yeah, this is a little much.
We haven't talked about that as much as like, you know, a regular video game news podcast would.
mean,
but
like,
that whole thing's just wild.
It's
just insane.
There's not a lot to say about it. It's just like it's shitty. Like the developers of the game, the actual developers, I don't think anybody faults. I think everybody faults the like upper management and marketing for this disaster of a game.
Yeah.
Cause like the world in Cyberpunk 2077 is amazing. Like the detail in every like little corner and crevice, like it's just amazing. But yeah, like it probably could use like another 6 months to a year. But then it's like
just
a
weird
money
to
thing,
think about.
and then, yeah, it's very, I don't know. I'm
It's-
excited to see when they do multiplayer.
Yeah.
Once they finally get all these bugs ironed out and then they actually do a multiplayer, because I think this game would be like so much fun multiplayer.
Yeah.
Like a
Yeah, for
GTA
sure.
Online kind of thing.
Man, remember when Keith bet me that The Last of Us 2 multiplayer was going to come out by the end of the year? I remember.
Last of
What
Us
a
2
guy.
multiplayer.
I don't know if that even still exists anymore.
Yeah.
Man, I think that does exist, and I think that will come out. But I was like, dude, there's no way that's this year, because that's shit. Like they mentioned it like early this year when they said, "Hey, we're delaying this indefinitely and putting it out separate," and then that's it. Like
it's not
we heard
it's not
nothing
happening.
about it.
I don't think it's gonna
I
happen.
think it will.
No.
But I don't think it'll be like, I don't know. I think it'll be a little more separated, and like it's not going to be called The Last of Us 2 multiplayer or anything like that. Like I could literally see them just releasing The Last of Us factions for free. It's just a free to play multiplayer. Like I can see that.
They should just have it like the mechanics and the gameplay that like Last of Us, but they shouldn't. I don't know if they should tie it with like that name.
Well, I mean that's what the first one was called.
Yeah, but I mean
Technically.
because we're so far
First
out
multiplayer.
already. It's gonna be like
Yeah.
over a year probably that it even comes out. So
Yeah, I think it'll be like talked about more in 2021. It would not surprise me if it is not out next year. That's why when Keith said 2020, I was like, no way.
I would,
but
I
it would
think that
not
it's-
surprise me if
I
that's
think
not
that
out
it's
2021.
dead in the water.
That would be interesting. I don't think so. I think there are enough people that actually like. There is very much a dedicated fan base to the people who really like The Last of Us multiplayer. So I think there would be a lot of unhappy people.
Yeah, but the thing is it's not like right now it's a waste of money if they put it.
But it's not, because I will say, as somebody who really likes Naughty Dog games and who has really liked the multiplayers in the past, I like Uncharted multiplayers usually more than The Last of Us. They've only had one, so it's hard to compare. But fun fact for people who don't normally follow, Naughty Dog, as a great developer with a lot of polish on their games and whatnot, in the multiplayer versions of their game, they're big fans of pay to win. Big fans of putting shit in there of a better gun that you can only buy. Real talk. That's a real thing that they do. They did not do it as much in Uncharted 4, which made me happy. They were like very purposeful about it. But there's still like weapons that are locked behind either you buy or you can grind a shit ton and buy the gameplay specific chests with your in-game currency. But as somebody who played a shit ton, I still didn't have anywhere close to all the weapons because it takes a long time to unlock them. Like, for some weird reason, Naughty Dog does that shit and people just let them get away with it. So
I think
if
it's
they
because
just release
there's not
that
a lot of
for free,
people that play it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, but
that's
like
the
they
main
make
thing.
money from
It was
that.
like
That's what I'm saying.
The big reason why
everyone who
Battlefront
does
2
play it
was
buys
a
that
very
$5
bad
weapon.
Battlefront 2 was a very bad move was because everybody was playing Battlefront 2. And then the people that paid money to get like the pay to win stuff would smoke the people who didn't pay money, and then it became a huge issue. But if you have a game that does that and it's not, and then, like, not a lot of people play it, not a lot of people are going to be upset.
Yeah, but that's why I'm saying I think at least they'll still release it though, you know? No. Like they're gonna make money off that. They're gonna make a good bit of money. And it's still been in development. Like it's still, I don't know. I've seen that
it's really just
that take before, and I think
it's really just taking like The Last of Us Part 2 and like forming it to a multiplayer thing. So it's not like that is specifically.
It's not like it's a ton of like resources that's going to take forever. You know what I mean? Like The Last of Us multiplayer, even just in the first one compared to the campaign, I doubt took as many resources to create.
I'd say it right now that it's not coming out.
Interesting take.
Also because of the controversy.
I'm not going to make a pizza bet right now. We need to, let's keep moving on the list. Yeah. My number 8, I just moved around my list, and I think this is my final list locked in right now. My number 8 is Hades.
Oh, I forgot about Hades.
I had it up higher, and I moved it lower, and I'm sorry. Hades just came out at a bad time for me to really play it. I was just playing some other stuff. I own it, and I've played it a good bit, but I did not play it nearly as much as I would like. But from what I played, I was like, this is fucking incredible, and I can totally see why everybody loves it. And the more I play it, I bet you I'm going to like it more and more, because I do like roguelites and stuff. And the way that they told that story, too, the voice acting, fucking incredible. Like, I can totally see that game is a 10, but I just did not play it enough for it to get higher on my list just on timing alone. You know?
I'm gonna throw an audible and knock.
I thought you said it was locked in, huh?
I didn't even have Hades on my list. I had a list. I looked up games that came out in 2020. Maybe it was because it didn't show up. I wonder if because it was like in early access before.
Maybe because it had technically come out in like 2019 or whatever, but now it was official this year.
So yeah, see you later, Ghosts.
Wow, damn.
Hades number 10.
It's okay. I'll make up for it. I'll make up for you, Sucker Punch. I got you.
My number 8 is Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Nice. See, that's great because, oh man, I at the end of this list, I will also mention all the games that I wish I had played that probably would be on my list. That's one of them. That would have been on my list if I had played it, but I just didn't.
So I have canceled my Ubisoft Uplay Plus for just a little bit because like I finished Immortals and then I was like, I just don't know if I can keep going with like open world games right now, even though I'm playing an MMO. But like open world, like check boxes, like here, do this menial task to check this box. But I think I played about half of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. and I really like it. It like the combat's really good. I like the different style of a story where you have to like increase your like little town sort of. That was kind of like in, what was it, Brotherhood with Uncle Mario?
2.
Was that 2?
2.
Like I like that. I really, it's
Classic.
almost like I like building a city, and then it's like, oh yeah, you can
do
upgrade this
too.
and you can upgrade
That's one
this,
thing
and then
I'm
your
probably
city gets a
gonna
better
love about it.
standing and that kind of shit.
That's cool.
So I like that aspect of it. The combat's interesting. The way you rank up is interesting. I don't like the way you get skills, because you get skills by just finding them in the world. By reading like a book, like you find a, what is it? I forget what it's called. But, like that's how you get actual abilities. And I'm like, oh.
They've done a lot of weird, different gameplay changes in how certain things work in that game that I've heard people either love or hate. Like the way that there is gear and how you more stick to one piece of gear and kind of upgrade it than getting a bunch of pieces. I've heard from one person like, oh, I really like that because you feel like you're investing in your gear. Or another people will be like, I really hate that because I like getting new pieces of gear and I like shifting it out. So they, from what I've heard of Valhalla, they've done a bunch of different stuff that people either love or hate.
I guess it
is
is
just preference.
It is a different studio than Odyssey. I think. Like the
people who
main
did Odyssey
studio.
did Immortals.
Yeah. So like I like Odyssey. Obviously, I like Odyssey better. I think it's my favorite Assassin's Creed of all time. But this one's still a really close second. Also, I have a big wolf that I can ride instead of a horse. That's fucking awesome. That's
more
just
do you
so
want,
awesome. But I haven't got into like any of the mystical stuff yet. And I kind of like that stuff more. Like I like that stuff in Odyssey. So
Yeah.
I think eventually I'll get back to it. But yeah, for now it's like my number 8.
Nice. My number 7, which is like in hindsight, this is when it starts to get to like, fuck, I wish all of these games from 7 and up could be higher, but like, you know, they just can't because that's how lists work. Number 7, I have Legends of Runeterra. I fucking love that game. It's so good. It's a free-to-play Riot's like League of Legends universe card game, and that came out at a perfect time in quarantine where I was doing like morning streams, so I'd play like an hour of that every day. I saw myself improve. I got all the way, I think I got into gold, maybe? I know that I got into silver, but I like climbed the ranks, you know, I was up here being a professional esports player, dog.
Just like me,
I got a Freljord and Demacia deck out here. I got Fiora. You fucking touch my Fiora, it's over. It's done, you know? But no, it's great. It's so fun. It's so very, like, I don't know why, because Hearthstone, when that came out years ago, I played a little bit of it and really did enjoy my time. So, but I just fell off. And then when this came out, I was like, I really should, I was just missing something somewhat strategical, just like a little bit of like kind of getting your brain working. So when this was coming out, I was like, I should get in this like when it launches, because Hearthstone now has run away with 1 billion cards. So it's like, I'm never fucking coming back to that because I'll never understand any of that. But this was a good way to jump in like when the game launches, because there's just enough cards to be manageable for me to kind of understand what's going on. And then it just worked out really perfectly. The pacing, how the games go, is very unique and different from Hearthstone. And I just like the way that it kind of shifts, where you have an attack round, defense round. It's really cool. And the cards are very like, Hearthstone's very basic, but there is a lot of different stuff that you can do here. Like I have friends who play Magic that have watched this and say that this is a lot more of along the lines of Magic than Hearthstone, of like, you have different cards that can pull other cards to you. There's just a lot of different stuff that you can do. And the champions are really unique. Like, okay, so Fiora, what I was saying. Fiora is like, if you kill 4 enemies with Fiora, you win the game. The game's over. Like, there are certain cards that have win conditions like that. And I have a certain card called Unyielding Spirit, which is if you put it on a card and it says that the card cannot take damage or die. That's it for the rest of the game. Fiora can't take damage or die. So like If I put the Unyielding Spirit on Fiora, I've had people surrender so many times. They're just like, fuck it, I'm done. I'm not doing this. But Fiora starts off really squishy, so you can kill her. And that's what most people do. Like, I have a deck centered around that, but like, it works 50% of the time, maybe, because people will just kill her, like, as soon as they see her. So it's like, you do have to, there is definitely a balance there, but there are fun, really, like, wild cards like that. It's really cool. I like that game, and it gets my brain thinking.
I've never been a card. Never been a card.
It's very,
game.
it's
Only card
literally
game I
very
play
rare
is
for me. I've
Solitaire.
only done it twice. Nice. I don't know. I like it's very good for my overthinking brain, because a lot of the time, I'm sure that there are people who think on a much higher level, like they're seeing like what's her face, Beth in Queen's Gambit, right? Yeah. They're seeing a billion moves ahead. Yeah, they're like, if this person played this, that means that they probably have this in their deck and blah, blah, blah. But for me, as somebody just on a very minor level, I can't fucking memorize all the fucking cards in existence or whatever. Yeah. So all it is for me is I play my round, and then it's like, okay, it is my turn. What can I do with what they have on the field and what I have on the field and what I have in my hand? What can I do right here in this turn that is the best outcome? And then stop. And then next turn is the same thing. It's just like one thing at a time. And it's very like helpful for me not to overthink. It helps me like kind of stay in the moment and keeps my brain working in a very like healthy kind of good way. I don't know. That was very helpful for me when quarantine first started, for like playing that for an hour in the morning. Super great. I downloaded it on my Kindle by like, because you can't even do that by default. I like found a way to download the Google Play Store that did that. So yeah, it's really good. I really enjoy that game. I do want to play it a little more regularly. I went back to it like a month ago, and they added a bunch of new cards, of course, and I was like, fuck, I don't know what's going on. But it is fun. It's very good. I need to get back to playing it more regularly. But that's my number 7, Legends of Runeterra.
My number 7 is Doom Eternal.
Nice. That is another one that I would love to play, but I did not.
Great game. I've never finished it.
It's on Game Pass PC.
Yeah. But I've restarted it like, I don't know, 3 or 4 times, because I always take a break and then I'm like, I don't really know the controls and I already have a lot of abilities. So I'm like, I'm just going to start at the beginning. And I really like it. I just haven't like stuck with it. So I really want to finish it like sometime in the first half of the year. But yeah, I love Doom Eternal. I love the was it 2016 Doom? The steps, like the changes that they made in this one, a little too much in the platforming aspect, and also because you feel like his like Doom guy is like this like tank, and so it's very weird to be like zooming around as this like he's like you go through, you have like your little chainsaw, no, not chainsaw, little whip.
There definitely is a chainsaw.
There's a chainsaw.
But are you talking about the grapple?
The grappling hook, yeah. So
yeah,
you can, there's just it's movement like crazy.
Chainsaw the fucking grapple. You just cutting.
It's just like movement like so crazy.
Yeah.
Like it is so different than playing like say Destiny, where in like Destiny content, really tough content, you stay back and you peek out and then you like you shoot, you like whittle them down.
Icebreaker
you do
back
that.
in the day.
Yeah, like you're pretty much
sit back there and pop up 6 times, go back in the cover.
Little bitch, just be like, but not in Doom. Doom, you do not stand still. Like you can't stand still. You will die if you stand still. And so I like that change because I play a lot of Destiny. So I like the change of that. But I want to, and I like the powers. I think he had like some cool guns and cool powers. I got to play it again. But yeah, number 7.
From what I've heard of that game, it is very like, it gets your mind, you enter the matrix where you're like, okay, chainsaw this dude, do this. Like, it's very, you get into a flow, and that has scared me because I feel like I don't know if I can do that. But I don't know.
It starts off very, very tame. That's the thing.
Does it ease you into it? Because that would be good. Okay. I will say, as somebody who bought Doom 2016 on PS4, I never really played it a ton. I remember playing the Doom like multiplayer beta on PC and on PS4, and then playing the game on PS4. But I had played the multiplayer beta on PC as well. that game absolutely, as somebody who does not prefer shooters on mouse and keyboard, I was like, oh God, like there is something about the way that feels with a controller where it does not feel good to move the camera. Like it feels in a weird, like stilted, like you can only go left, right, up, down. It's hard to go diagonal because like I don't know. And I was surprised I didn't hear many people complaining about that. But for me, it did not feel very good. So now that I'm realizing though, Doom Eternal I have on Game Pass PC, so maybe I'll just actually play. Maybe I'll actually play mouse and
now
keyboard.
I'm thinking about it. I'm like, oh yeah, I wanna shoot stuff and chainsaw stuff. Yeah, I might do that.
Nice. So my number 6, which I just moved around here and put lower. I had it at my number 4 before we started recording, and now I have it as my number 6. Ghost Runner. Which, speaking of going into the fucking Matrix and getting into the zone, like, oh, perfect segue. Fucking, like, legit, Ghost Runner, I was actually gonna mention that when I was talking about Doom. Ghost Runner is exactly that, where, like, when you play that enough, the levels are a puzzle. Like, Ghost Runner is such a cool, unique, like, weird first-person puzzle game. Like, it is very much like Super Hot, but in reverse, where you have to be fast instead of slow. Like, it's so cool, man. To anyone who has not played Ghost Runner, if you have it on PC, because I hear it controls very odd on controller, I did it on mouse and keyboard, and it feels great. Fucking play Ghost Runner. That game is awesome. Like, I would say that's the most underrated game of this year that I have on this list, and I have a lot of weird games that not everyone played. Like, Ghost Runner is so good, and it took me about 14 hours maybe to beat it, but it's super difficult. But like, you die a bunch, but then when you finally fucking get it, you're like, okay, I gotta go here, jump, wall run, jump to this one, grapple. Like you have to be. It's very Celeste as well, where you are like pixel perfect and like memory. Oh, it's so good. Ghost Runner is awesome, and the music is like fucking jamming the whole time, and you're this dope like cyberpunk ninja. Oh, see, Ghost Runner is one of like the most complete single player experiences that I've played this year. That I was like, that was just great, like top to bottom, 14 hours, awesome. So I am bummed that couldn't be a little bit higher, but I did want to give some of the other games here a little more recognition. But that's my number 6.
My number 6 is Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
It's another one that I just didn't play.
Really? For one,
yeah.
I think.
No, I mean I never played the first Ori either.
There was nothing out at that time. It came out at the perfect time. It was at the beginning of March, I think, before Animal Crossing and all those other games. So it was like there was not a lot. So I just like binge played that, and I heard
it's really good, man.
It's really good. You don't really think that it could top like even the emotional responses that you'd get from the first one, because that was so emotionally, like, you think like, oh, it's just this little white I don't know what it is. What is Ori?
I don't know. I don't know why, but for some weird reason, I thought you were gonna be like this little white piece of shit. I thought you were just gonna start trash talking Ori for some weird reason. And
then you have like the weird. Well, there's like the bear guy who like dies at the beginning.
Spoilers.
That game's old. But yeah, so like it nails all of the emotional stuff, and what they do with the mechanics, like how they change combat, I think I like so much more than one.
That's what I've heard. Is the combat is like the biggest.
The combat's so much better. I like that they have autosave instead of like you putting your save anywhere. Like that was a really nice point. I wouldn't mind going back and like just playing it again and like 100%ing it, because it was really fun. And I love like that platform, those puzzle platformers where it's not just a platformer, but you have to, like, I still remember in Ori 1 when it's like the ice area and you're like stuck to the roof and then you have to like jump down and do all that. I just love that shit. Love it.
Yeah. And from what I heard, the original Ori had a lot of not the original Ori and the Will of the Wisp, when it came out this year, had a lot of like tech problems, which are now apparently solved. So it's even better now, you know, like you can play it without
good old games. They always get better.
Like that. Yeah. that's one of the many games that is on, like, I've owned Ori and the Blind Forest since it came out. Just never haven't done it.
You haven't even played Ori and the Blind Forest?
No. No. I mean, that's why I didn't do Will of the Wisp, because I was like, well, I want to play the first one first, and I haven't done that yet. So
that game's like 10 years old.
I know, they're not long. No, it's not. Oh my god. It's not that old.
I thought it was like 20, maybe 2013.
It's like 10 years old. 2015.
Okay, 2015. It feels older than that. It feels older.
It's not that old. Nah, it's one of my mini games that I own, just haven't. My number 5 though, a game that I did play, a game that I played a good amount of. It's a game called Rogue Company. That's the alarm. That's okay. Well, we're gonna speed through some of these, but Rogue Company, dog, fucking. As somebody who grew up, one of my first like video game obsessions was Call of Duty, good old Call of Duty Black Ops multiplayer, right? Like I was in there, I wanted to do game battles with my friends. Did I ever? No, because it was too much of a commitment, but I wanted to. And then, and then I eventually started playing like League. So I always do have a weird competitive like side of me that comes out every now and then, where I do want to play something really competitive. And Rogue Company is exactly like, it is the Counter-Strike Valorant like search and destroy like game mode, but it is a third-person shooter too, which, as somebody who has played a ton of, weirdly for some weird reason, I really enjoy the Uncharted multiplayer. It's like, and I just like third-person shooters. Like I don't know why I like third-person shooters. So, and other than Gears is like the only third-person arena standard like TDM kind of shooter, right? Like Fortnite is the third-person shooter these days, and like I'm not playing Fortnite. That's a whole nother fucking thing. So like Rogue Company came out, and I played a lot of Overwatch. Like it is a mix of Overwatch, Valorant, which I played earlier this year too, like Uncharted, and Call of Duty. And the Call of Duty comes from how the game feels. Like it feels arcadey and like snappy, and it is a hero shooter too, right? So there is Overwatch aspects of like each character has its own abilities, but they're not like too crazy. It's not Overwatch where it's like people are flying around and shit. Yeah. But like each character does have its own abilities, but like the character that I play mostly is Ronin, and she has a throwing knife that you throw and explodes, or you can throw it, it'll stick to a wall and it's like a trap. But if it hits somebody, it explodes. So it is very much it's like back in the day when people used to play Call of Duty and they were trying to YY ladder stall, no scope 360 fucking wall bang, you know?
This shit is just way over my head. I know a 360 no scope, but that's about it.
It's what people used to do when they used to go out and like try and get these wild plays, right? To be like, oh my god, did you see that? And like this game is very competitive and whatnot, but it does actually set itself up for cool like moments that are rare, where like, oh my god, I did just hit a throwing knife throw that got 3 people randomly because 2 of them were walking in. Like it does set itself up for cool moments like that. You can get like 3 like phantom sniper headshots in a row, but it's hard to do. Like it's great. It's so good. It came out in like early access earlier this year. It's on everything. It's 60 FPS on everything. It's free on everything. It's great. Big fan of that game. Whenever I do want to play something competitive, I will load into Rogue Company. It's like just perfectly made for me. It's a very Teddy game. That's my number 5.
My number 5 is definitely not Rogue Company. My number 5 is another game that came out in March. A little game called Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Nice.
I want to get back to it. I want to get back to a lot of games. But this game, when I get back to it, part of me really wants to just drop a nuke on my island and start fresh.
Wow, Jesus. You don't have to kill all your villagers, man. God.
Well, no. Well, they probably already moved out. That's the thing. I did not understand until like I took a couple months off and then went back. You feel so fucking guilty.
That's why I didn't.
It is
man,
so
everyone
weird.
was like, "Why don't you want to play it?" And I was like, "'Cause I
mean-
don't want to leave and come back months later and then be mad at me."
But still, like it was some of the most fun in those first like couple months. Just like even like we had a party and like we went to like Pierre's Island, I think, and then like Jonah, Jace, Future. We were all just like hanging out. We like swapped different fruits, and it's a really cool game, and it's really cool, especially if you keep up with it. But
yeah,
I don't think I like. Obviously, I didn't keep up with it, and so I go if I log in now, somebody's gonna be like, "Oh, hey, where the fuck have you been?
Why'd you abandon us?"
This guy moved out last month, and I'm on my way out too." So I'm like, no. I definitely don't want to do that, and it sucks because some of the fish and like some of the things that you got, I'll have to do again. But I don't know. I feel like New Year, it'd be cool to do a new fresh island. I also don't like
New Year, New You. You know.
I don't like the whole day to day thing where you have to wait a day. It's like, let me have that in the game.
Stardew Valley.
No, but I don't like the aesthetic of Stardew Valley for that type of game. Like I like that type of aesthetic, that 16-bit aesthetic for a JRPG, not for a
why?
farming game.
Cause it's but why? I mean, I guess you don't have to have a reason. I'm just
No, but like I don't like it for a farming game, but I like it for like you're exploring an actual like world in a JRPG.
all right. I guess I can.
But no,
like
I want like it's fine to have it in Animal Crossing, but then like I don't know, maybe after you've gotten like a 3-star island, you can like pay to. I guess you can't pay to expedite the process.
You gotta just become a time traveling cheater, man.
But then like you can't even time travel like in game. You have to like, okay, I'm gonna close out of the game, turn the clock up. Okay,
People
open the
are
game
wild
again.
with Animal Crossing.
And it's just like
they do
put it in the game so that like it costs $1 million,
brother.
to
If there's
expedite.
one thing that Animal Crossing sadly doesn't do, it's convenience.
Oh yeah,
And that's one of the reasons why.
That's why it's only 5. Like 5 is
you
not
know,
that high.
Yeah.
It's halfway, middle of the road.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It's not on my list. I did play a little bit of it, but I didn't really fall into it just for exactly the reasons why I thought I wouldn't. But everyone was like, "You gotta try it," so I did it. But it's I don't know. I just have a weird. My OCD can't handle the real time clock system because I feel like if I'm not there the whole time. And then I'm gonna come back. People are gonna be mad at me. I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna have missed something. I'm gonna feel like I need to check in every day, and I don't want a game putting that pressure on me. And I know that it's not technically. I don't have to check in every day, but I'm gonna want to and I know that. So, and I did, and then I started stressing out. It was a whole thing. But also, it's that plus the convenience thing that I was talking about, like. Every time you go over to a dude, you gotta like wait for the lines, and I know it's like nothing. Yeah. It's very minimal, but like there's just a lot of little stuff like that in the game where it's like, okay, no, I get it. Let's just, it's not. It's like a weird sort of focus on presentation when I just.
That's like all Nintendo games too.
Yeah. I asked about that too when that came out. I was like, is this like Pokemon? Because that Pokemon does that too. And if Pokemon was didn't do that as much, and it was more. Like just the gameplay and kind of let you free more, I would be way more into it. But it doesn't. You have to go talk to this dude. You got to sit through this whole fucking thing. This story I don't care about. Like,
and it's not even that. And
Animal
Pokemon
Crossing
because
apparently does
like
that.
Pokemon, there's not even like a good like it doesn't tell you where to go. So if you don't even like, if you're just I just want to get to the next area. So you're not even reading the dialogue and you're just like, okay, go. Then when you pull up the map, it doesn't tell you where to go. And then you're like, oh shit, where was I supposed to go?
But like listening to all of that dialogue, so much of it is completely unnecessary and like a weird, like they'll say weird words. It's like, oh, kablamo. You know what I mean? It's like literally Animal Crossing does that. Like when some of the villagers call you like spunk or whatever the fuck, and
you can
it's
get
like
them to call you whatever you want.
It's weird, but that's just a personal thing. But I get why everybody loved it. I wish that I did because I like farming kind of cute, adorable games like that. But know what else is pretty cute?
What?
My number 4, Genshin Impact. We got a lot of waifus in there.
Let's go.
Is that your 4 as well?
That's my 4 as well.
Oh, wow. Hell
so
yeah.
now
Hell
we can go faster on this one.
Woo. Yeah, Genshin Impact, fantastic game. I had it lower. I had Ghost Runner up here instead. I think I swapped Ghost Runner and Genshin because I wanted it to be higher.
I just downloaded the update.
More I think, yeah, I honestly haven't played in about 2 months.
I haven't played Beyond or since Beyond Light.
There's apparently a whole new region,
Yeah.
which is wild. Like, there's apparently been events that people have really liked. I really did enjoy that game, and the more I played it, the more I kept being amazed at, like, this is really good. Like, every time I loaded it up and played it, like, not only the presentation, like, visuals, but the music and the fucking combat and, like, the characters that are in that game and the amount of shit that there is in there. And, like, it's very good for an MMO kind of fan for, like, me, even though it's not an MMO. It is basically just single player open world RPG.
Yeah.
But, like, there's certain things where it's like, oh, do you want to ascend your character? You got to go get this item. But guess what? You can get this item at this place. And it'll tell you in the game, like, you go over here. And then it's like, but only on these days. Only on Tuesday. And then I'm like, I love that shit.
It's like, I love
I shouldn't, but I do.
I love all of that. I hate the restrictions and the gotcha.
Apparently, they've gotten a little better on that. I don't know how much, but from what I've heard,
I still hate
they've
the
gotten
gotcha.
better.
Like I would like it. You can have the gotcha in the game, but
As
then
long as you could-
have an alternate way of getting, because you could, like, be fucked over and never get a character that you really, really want. And, like, that's what I don't like about it. Like, I
That's
got
fair.
lucky,
And that's
but it's
totally
like, maybe
understandable.
save up enough primo gems, like a ton of primo gems that you can
To, like,
actually
buy a
I
specific-
think actually you can buy some characters. Sometimes they have them in
Maybe.
the store.
Yeah.
But, like, there's
That's
so
fair.
many characters.
I just kind of grew to accept that. I was just like, this is what it is. I'm playing it and enjoying the characters that I have. And if I just kind of treated it as, like, if I get more characters in the future, cool. If not,
Yeah.
okay. You know, I'll keep playing with what I have and upgrading what I have. But
It's
yeah,
just that-
I totally
I guess
get
it's that FOMO. Like, you see a streamer,
Yeah.
you see somebody, and they're like, they have this character, and look at what he can do, and you're like, holy shit, that's so cool. But
Yeah.
like, there's a possibility I could never get that character
Yeah.
for a long fucking time, and like
Yeah.
that really put a sour taste in my
It's
mouth
a
after
bummer.
a while. And so
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to get back to it. I want to play it a little bit more casually. Not
Oh,
as
yeah.
like
I mean, that's
hardcore
what
as
I was
did
doing.
before.
It's fun, man. I will
Yeah.
say one of the reasons why I wanted to have it this high on the list is because, like, when I was playing it, I was like, this is absolutely a Game of the Year candidate. Like, just as a video game, it is very, very good. And I feel like
Polished
people,
to the nines.
yeah, it's
Like, there's
every
no
time
bugs
I was
in
like,
that game.
yeah, every time I was like, this has no reason being this polished. Like, why does this? Why? It kept confusing me, and the more I saw that, and the more I was saying that, the more confused I was about, like, why more people weren't talking about it. Like, it was just the fucking Destiny crowd, and like, I just, it was such a bummer because it's just a single player RPG. Like, it was such a weird, like, why aren't more people playing this who like single player open world RPGs? Like, I feel like they would really like it. But people just weren't. It's a weird thing. Because of the gacha and kind of MMO aspects, but it being a single player RPG, it's like only certain type of players played it, but like, I feel like a ton of other people would really like it.
Like
if
a
they did
Chinese
give it a
Zelda
shot, but
game
they don't
with
want
RPG
to.
aspects.
Yeah, but
Like,
and then
If you like Zelda, you're gonna like this, like, no matter what.
Yeah.
Because it's more colorful than Zelda. There's more abilities, more things than Zelda, but it like feels like Zelda, especially with climbing. Like, it just, so if you like
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild, you're probably gonna like Genshin Impact, and then you're gonna like it you'll like it for different reasons as well, because there's like an actual story there.
yeah,
Besides
there-
from
and that's
Zelda.
what, like, I feel like a lot of people didn't talk about, is that there is absolutely a story. Like, there's a whole, like, narrative. I don't know. It's interesting. So
I'm
I wanted
excited
to be
to
sure that
see
was higher up.
that game in 2021, where it can go, because like, if you think about it,
I
it's
gotta
been
get
out for
back to it.
3 months. September it came out in? No, October.
I think so.
October.
October. Hold on.
It was like at the beginning because I played it for
I
a
think
month.
I played it. I played it when I was here. I don't think I played it back where I was living in Nashville.
So it's been out
September
for
28th?
So yeah.
Is
So like the end of September. So it's been out for roughly 3 months. And roughly 3 months they've like added a new area.
They have
So,
plans on adding more regions too.
So that's the thing. Is like I'm really excited to see that going forward because
damn it.
when you think about it, you know what? Maybe I'll just say fuck it and make another account and just start fresh and see what that's like because then there's no like real restrictions like story-wise cuz I bottomed out at the story for a while. Like in the later stages, but now because like there's a new area, there's more stuff to do. It'd be interesting to see like all the stuff you can do at once.
Yeah, see, I never got to the, because there was a point that everyone talked about where you're gonna hit, where you're gonna have to level before you can really do more story content, and I just never got there. I knew that I was going to eventually, but I was never there. So it's like, if I go back now and it's even better about that kind of stuff, cool. That'd be great. Yeah, I have that as number 4 here, since that was also your number 4. I will go to my number 3. Oh, man. Oh, shit. Now we're getting into... Okay, well, we're an hour and a half into this. We're not going to go longer than 2 hours.
No.
Number 3 is The Last of Us Part 2. But now we're getting to games where I actually do want to talk more about them. Like, Last of Us Part 2 is number 3 for me. What? Do you have that on your list?
I have it on my list.
Okay. Is it not your number 3?
No.
Ooh, okay, that means it's higher, Chad. It's either his number 2 or... it's his number 2 because I know his number 1. Oh, shit, okay.
My number 1's been number 1 since April.
I bet I can guess your number 3. I bet... I'm not going to throw him out, but if I'm correct, I will let the viewers know. My number 3, though, is The Last of Us Part 2. And I feel so bad having it as number 3 because this is where, like, looking at this game... no, I'll tell that list once I have all of my top 3 said. I will tell you guys how I would reorder them in like a critical sense because for some weird reason I would. I don't know. But number 3, Last of Us Part 2, like I think that game is absolutely like a fucking masterpiece technically. Like I think the gameplay in there is incredible. The only reason why it is not higher for me, and the only reason why it's not my number 1 is just like with the story, I'm not going to go spoilers, but like with the story, they were very clearly trying to do something that, in my opinion, I think was really risky with the narrative. I think the way that they told it and their goal, right? Like the goal behind their narrative, I think was really risky. And I think it paid off for a lot of people, which is why for a lot of people, it's going to be their game of the year. But for me personally, it just didn't work exactly how I feel like they wanted it to. And that's me assuming what they wanted, right? But I feel like they wanted me to have a certain reaction, and I didn't. But I almost did. And I was very close to it. But it just didn't... I had a too strong a feeling another way for me to fully get into that story and fully have the outcome that I feel like the developer wanted. So it's like, I just don't think that game exactly worked the way that they wanted it to for me, but it did with a lot of people. And that's not to say
it hit me like weeks after I played the game and just like thinking about it, reflecting about it, because when I played it, and I think that's probably partly my fault because I binged it in a vacuum and I was just like, I'm just gonna play this game as fast as I can and I'm just gonna do it. And like I don't know if maybe that was the right way to do it, because I didn't maybe I didn't get to like sit and simmer with some of the things that were going on in the game, and so I would just like fly through. But then like thinking about it, and I think I was also watching a streamer play it like after I finished it, so I got to see it almost twice. Yeah. And then I started to kind of like understand and start to like process things, and I'm like, oh, okay, like I'm understanding it a little bit better, and I'm not knee-jerk reacting, because I think like I had knee-jerk reactions when I was playing. Yeah. And it put me in a position where I was like, no, I hate Abby. I'm like, oh, she's terrible. And then like you watch it again and you watch it from like a different angle, and you're like, well, I kind of understand. and it's just like it just over time, yeah, you just think about it differently, and I think that's kind of how it affected me. I will say the gameplay is the best of Naughty Dog's. I guess I'll kind of talk about it because it's my number 2. But like it's the best of Naughty Dog's gameplay. There were still some issues. I guess it's just controller, like me shooting with controller. Not a huge fan, but there were parts, and I chopped up a couple of my gameplay segments. There were parts in that game in the combat where like it just felt so raw and real, where like you would be shooting and then like your gun wouldn't jam, but you'd be out, and then you'd have to switch to something else. You'd have to walk, or like you'd have to, and it didn't feel like video gamey, where you'd see your character like move to a corner and then it looked so out of character. Like if you would run, but like how she'd like fall down, get up and run to another place, and then like lie down and go prone and do stuff like this. It just felt really real and raw. Like it felt almost like a cutscene, like you were just watching it. I really like that about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, like the gameplay and what they managed to accomplish, like it's hard to even start talking about because it's so good. Like it's a fucking fantastic video game. I just like the first game. I think The Last of Us is a perfect video game. Like is as close to a perfect video game as you can get.
Still
the first
like
Last
garbage,
of Us.
Though.
Oh my god! But like. I just think that with this game, they were very clearly trying to do something a little more risky, and it just, it's not going to be as universally like, no, this is fantastic. Like, I think you're going to have different reactions, like different people. Like, I am very much in the middle ground where, like, I can totally see people hating this game because of the story choices, and I can totally see people loving this game because of the story choices.
I can see people hating it, but those people are wrong. Like,
I can totally understand it. I can't understand death threats and hating it to such a visceral degree where that shit would be any sort of acceptable in someone's brain.
The same people
but like,
who hate Last of Us 2 are the same people who hate The Last Jedi. And they're just all whiny babies because they don't understand how fucking stories work. They don't understand how character development works. They have a picture of a character and they put them on a fucking pedestal, and then nothing should change with that character. That character should be perfect. That character shouldn't be human. That character shouldn't be flawed. And that's what happens. And as soon as somebody with enough brains changes that character, they're like, oh my God, why would you do that? Oh, that's not my Luca. It's just like, oh my God, just grow up. Just stop talking.
I don't think that's necessarily what happened with this game. When I say that I can see why people hated this game, that's not what I'm seeing. That's not what I'm understanding. I can understand why somebody's reaction to certain choices would be so extreme that they just wouldn't end up having the desired outcome of the storyteller, right? Like, by the end of this game, you're supposed to feel a certain way, at least I think. And I could totally see somebody having such an extreme reaction to some of the choices that they absolutely just don't feel that way at the end of the game. And it just doesn't work. Like, as somebody who almost didn't, like, I was so mad that I almost didn't get to where they wanted me to get to. And I could see somebody not getting there. Like, it's totally understandable. Because I don't know, I was very angry at a certain character.
I just wasn't, I guess this is the thing. It's like, it's not my story. I'm not telling a story.
Sure, but like, I'm not angry at their story choices, but I'm angry at that story choice, the early story choice that we're talking about.
I love that story
We're doing this so spoiler. I do too. I'm fine with that. But like, I was so angry at a certain character for doing it. Like, it's not like I was mad at Naughty Dog, but like them making me do a certain thing with that character. I didn't want to do that. Of course I didn't want to do that. I hated that fucking character. So like, but
that's the thing. It's like, that's what I loved about it.
That's not going to work for everybody though.
Is a spoiler, but it's not really a spoiler that you play as Abby. Everybody knows this.
At this point.
This
I was still trying to keep it vague, but
it's almost been a year since the game's out. Everybody who loves Naughty Dog, who loves video games, has probably played this game. or who has any care of it. I'm not going to spoil big things, but it's like, yeah, one thing is like, oh yeah, you play the game as Abby. And there were parts where it's like, I don't want to do this. And it's like, I don't like this character. And I think that was the point. It's like you
absolutely.
coming in from the point of disgust playing this character. Have you ever really done that in a video game where you play a character that you actually like don't like, that you actually hate? And it's like, that was really cool. And then seeing it from her side, it was just something new, and
it's incredibly impressive and ballsy. Like that is a risky choice. That's what I'm talking about. That is a risky choice. They wanted, and what I keep saying when I say they wanted you to, by the end of that game, empathize with her and in a way be on her side, in a way like that character, right? They wanted to take you from a point of hatred to at least slightly liking that character. And I can totally understand you hating that fucking character so much that by the end, it doesn't work. Like, I think it worked with me, but just barely. I think there's a certain point in this game that you're supposed to like Abby. And from what I've listened, my glasses were crooked. Why are my glasses crooked? Anyway, from the interviews and shit that I've heard from a lot of people, there is a certain turning point. I mean, I can say it without being with still being somewhat vague. The turning point for a lot of people is when the heights moment where she's scared of heights, right?
Oh yeah.
That, from what I hear, that's when a lot of people were like, you know what, I like Abby. Like I'm into this. That was not it for me. Like I only was like, you know what, okay, at the fucking end. Like it took me a long time to get to fucking be on her side in a way. And that was only because Ellie kept making stupid fucking choices. You know what I mean? Like,
but that's the thing. That's another. At the end of the game, I was kind of like, you know what? Everybody sucks. And
that's the point.
And that's my like takeaway. And it was like that's when I started to think about like, you know what? Abby's not terrible because everybody sucks. They all have a different version of suck. That they're all just not terrible people, but they're all. It's like they're all Thanos. They're all a hero in their own mind, but they're a villain in the real world. And it's just, that's kind of, like even with Ellie, like Ellie's done some shit, and I'm just like, fuck, like, yeah.
I think we did a bad job of staying away from spoilers.
If you haven't played this game, I'm sorry, but who cares? I mean, seriously,
there's a lot of people. Somebody in the chat in the comments last week was like Mass Effect spoiler at this time. So like,
oh yeah, and Darth Vader is Luke's father. Yeah,
Aragorn is the heir to the throne.
Rey is a Palpatine.
Gross. Okay,
actually, never mind. 2. Who's Rey? Nobody knows who that is.
Okay, my number 2 is Ghost of Tsushima. Okay. I can't believe I'm saying this. My number 2.
Me neither. I don't know why it's that high.
God damn it. It was my number 1 until we started this podcast earlier. No, the game is incredible. That game is so good. Like on every aspect. I'm a huge fan of Sucker Punch, so like I knew I was already gonna like it. I wish I had spent more time on that. I wish I had a working capture card because honestly, after I finish Immortals, I would go to that. But like, I don't. So I don't know when I'm gonna play anything on my consoles anymore. But yeah, that game is so good. And literally, the multiplayer, the Ghost of Tsushima Legends is the best and my favorite multiplayer experience that I've played this year. It's very good and does not get enough credit. And it's fucking like, I don't know, I can't believe how they dropped that shit where they're just like, oh, by the way, here. Like, it's wild. And as somebody who I really like horde mode type stuff, the survival in that is awesome. Like, I really wish I had played more of that, but I have played a good bit of Legends. Like, I probably played more of Legends than the single player, I think. I don't know. Probably.
That's my point.
And I really...
The story sucks.
But that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. God. Like we said, Hades earlier, that game was a fucking 10 out of 10. It just came out at a bad time. It doesn't mean anything. Anyway,
no, but I mean, like you said, that like you played more of Legends than you played of the actual story, which means that the actual story is not.
But it doesn't.
Doesn't get the hooks in you.
But I'm choosing Legends because it's
Exactly.
a different fucking thing. But
it's
it's
better.
a different thing. That
It's
would be
better.
like me saying, you can't say that like Destiny is better than The Last of Us Part 2 because I'm choosing to play Destiny over Last of Us Part 2.
It's like saying I would
Different
choose
things.
Destiny PvE over Destiny PvP.
But those
You're
are also
choosing-
still different things.
But both of these things are PvE. But the thing is, you're choosing one over the other, which means the other one is not as good as the one that you're choosing.
No, that's not what that means, dude. Especially in video games. Like, in video
thought
games,
you
a
was
lot of the
PvE.
times I want to play...
PvP sucks in Destiny, especially.
A lot of the times in video games, I want to... I mean, like I was saying, Rogue Company. Like, sometimes I want to play something competitive. So I will just load into that. That doesn't mean that the single-player game that I'm playing at the moment is bad or worse than Rogue Company. I just want to play something competitive, or I want to play something with a friend.
If the story was compelling enough, it would get you to play it.
But, like, that's so rare.
Exactly.
Like, that literally only happened with one game this year, which is my number one. Like,
I don't know a lot of
I don't
people that
know.
have finished that game.
Game won the game awards, like Gamers' Choice Game of the Year. Just saying.
It's only
It has
because
one of the
everybody hates
highest
Last of
user
Us.
review. It has one of the highest user reviews of all time on
I don't
Metacritic.
care about the user
It's
reviews.
a very good video game.
User reviews.
It's a very, very good video game. You
No.
are in the minority on this. You have
No,
to
because
accept
nobody
it.
talks about it. They played it.
It was it fucking won the Gamers' Choice.
I don't care about the gamer's choice. The gamer's choice was rigged because everybody hates The Last of Us. You know that's right.
No.
Yes, it is.
It won because people like Ghosts. They played a lot of Ghosts. Again, one of the highest user reviews, which
Yes.
means that more people would vote for it.
User reviews
in
are
a Gamer's
bullshit.
Choice.
We've seen like what is it, bomb ratings like all the time on games.
Yes, Ghosts did not do that though. That's a good thing. That's a even more reason as to why those.
No,
scores
you
would
can't.
be
That's why you
reliable.
can't trust. You
36
can't trust
hours
user
after.
scores. I don't trust.
That Ghost was the first game where they
review
implemented
scores?
that you
I
can't
don't
even
trust-
put
I
in
don't
a
trust
score
any
until
scores.
36 hours after.
Fuck all scores. No, because it's so.
Fuck video games.
No, you can talk about a video game. You can talk about it and say what you liked and what you didn't like. But then to put a score on, it's like I don't give a shit about like, oh, this is the highest Metacritic, and I don't care. I don't want like, oh, this is 0.5% better because this many people did. No, scores are bullshit. All scores. Like that's the thing is like you'll open an IGN score, scroll to the bottom, and get the number instead of actually reading or listening what the person liked about it. And that again,
Sure, but like that's a different thing. That's not what we're talking about.
that's why get rid of all scores. Get rid of them all.
That's not what we're talking about though. What
Get
I'm
rid of them
saying
all.
is that a lot of people reviewed it in a user sense, saying like the majority of gamers who did review it gave it a higher review than other games that they have
And the
reviews.
gamers
Like that's
that
just
didn't
the
like
fucking.
it had better things to do and didn't review the game, like me.
My dog wants to play. She just brought me a ball. Hello.
There's not a ton of people that I know that have played the game, and I'm sorry that says a lot to me.
It's anecdotal evidence that says nothing.
You just
That's like
that's
saying,
still
I went to
numbers
this-
technically. It's still technically
Sure,
numbers.
but that's not. That's literally like if
No.
you're talking about politics and you're choosing anecdotal evidence over empirical evidence. That's literally what that is.
Just saying. I gauge a game.
just
I gauge a
saying.
game on like how many people of my friends are playing the game, and I'm like, oh, that must be a
bad
good
way to gauge
fucking
a game.
No, that's not.
Bad. Yes, it is.
Why?
Because it's anecdotal evidence is one
I don't
thing
care.
over
The thing
say
is like I don't care. What
a
if somebody
ton
has
of
bad
things.
taste
One
can review the game very high? How is that correct then?
how do you know that they have bad taste?
Exactly. So this is not anecdotal because when I look at the people that I'm talking about and I say that all of these people are playing the game and like the game, then it's not anecdotal because then I think I know what their tastes and are like.
Sure.
But when you have a whole bunch of fucking strangers that could like all hate The Last Jedi and they all review Ghost of Tsushima really well, like that shit is still not that like they're not qualified.
That's fair enough. I'm just saying you're in the minority, as
No.
in
No,
a
I'm not.
lot of people
I'm in my own
like
own
this
majority.
video game.
I'm in my own majority.
Sure, that's sure.
Name me 10
works.
people who have played the game that you know.
That's not how it works,
Dude,
dog. That's
name me
what
10
I'm
people.
saying.
Name me 10 people.
I can't name you 10
name me
people
10
that have
people
played my
that
number
played
one.
Destiny 2.
That's because I know a lot of people that play Destiny 2 because it's a fucking multiplayer game.
It's a good game.
Your logic
It's a good game.
flawed.
Because it's a good game.
The multiplayer game. Anyways, that's my number 2. It's very good. Legends is seriously super fucking good. I only played the first part of chapter 1 of the raid because then Beyond Light came out and all my friends who I was playing the raid with left.
Better
Actually,
game.
not really. Literally just one of them. But we needed 4 people. I was playing with Andrew, Keith, and Eric left, so we didn't really have enough people.
Better game.
Actually, to be fair, I was playing with Andrew, Tyson, and Keith, and none of them were doing it. I just left and played Beyond Light, and I didn't have time to continue. Legends is very good. Play Legends.
Nobody's
I
gonna,
need
nobody's
to
gonna play
go back
Legends
to the
in
single player.
2021. Calling it right now.
I hate you so much. That's my number 2. It's very good. It's a very good video game. I really do want to go back to it. When
I'll talk about
I
my
can
number
have a working
1,
capture card.
and then you'll talk about your number 1, and I'll talk
Okay.
about my number 3, because I think my number 3
Wait,
and
I was
your
gonna
number
say,
1
yeah.
are the same.
Have you done your number 3 yet?
No, because it's your number 1.
Oh, did I just skip over you though? Because
Yeah,
I did
but
my
that's
number
the thing,
3,
is
which was
like,
Last of
it's
Us,
better
and then
to-
I thought you did
I'll talk
yours.
about my number 1, and then you talk about your number 1, which is also my number 3.
Oh, I'm sorry though. I didn't mean to skip you.
No, because I
did.
think we blended on Last of Us.
We blended on Genshin.
Genshin,
and then,
and
I
then it
did
kind of, like,
Last of Us.
kind of got muddy.
I did Last of Us, and then I meant to go to you for your 3. I guess I just skipped it. I'm so sorry.
But no, it's better. It's better to. We'll talk about my number 1 and then your number 1, which is also my number 3.
Okay.
I like that.
Okay.
So my number 1, obviously, I've been saying this since April, is Final Fantasy VII remake, and it's just
That's what I figured.
It's the best game
what I
of the
figured.
year. It's it split the community at the end because they did a couple of changes that are like, people are like, oh god, I don't know what they're gonna do, because this means something totally different now. And so if you played all the games, like you've played Crisis Core and all those games, you're kind of just like, what is going on? I, for one, love that, because I don't want a one-to-one retelling in HD. I don't understand that, because it's like you can just play Final Fantasy VII on any other console and get the game and get the same emotions, get the same everything. So why not just, like, change stuff up? Change. I don't know. I'm not gonna say what changes, but like change some things. It's like I'm on the roller coaster. I'm ready to ride. I'm not gonna be like, oh, I don't like this decision, because one, again, it's not my story to tell. They're telling the story. I'm just on it for the ride. I know it's going to be good combat wise, because fucking 7 was great. Yeah, I want to replay it, but I also kind of want to play it on PC, so I might wait until the PC port. But
I'm surprised that's not out. I keep forgetting that that's literally
I think it was like a
PS4
year apart.
exclusive. Man.
it'll probably be April. But that game, just so good. The nostalgia hits, but like I knew people that was like their first Final Fantasy, and it still hit them just as much. But I just love that game. My first JRPG of all time, the very first one that I played, and now I get to play it how many years later, and it's just like so good.
It is really cool to see everybody react who had a connection to the original earlier this year. That was very wholesome and made me happy. I never played it.
I
or
can't
the
wait
original.
until part 2.
Yeah.
Play Elise remake.
I own
Play
it.
it before
so-
play it before
here.
June.
Will I? How long is
Dude.
it? Isn't it like Isn't it?
You play it on like normal, it's probably about like 25 hours, 30 hours.
It's not too bad.
It's a short JRPG.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not too bad. I don't know. I might. It says main
You'll-
story on how long to beat. It says 34 hours.
Yeah. You're all talking about like, oh, I'm gonna play 15. It's like, throw that thing in the
Nah.
garbage.
Well, I wouldn't. I do still want to do that someday, but not before this. I would definitely do remake before. That's the plan.
You do
And then
remake
I'll
before,
probably play-
you're really gonna. It's gonna sour
Yeah,
the combat.
it's
of
probably
15.
gonna make 15 a lot
But
worse.
yeah, I just maybe watch a playthrough of 15.
But no, I want to play the combat. That's what I want to do.
But that's
I
the
wanna
thing
be
is
out there
you're
in the
gonna
open
play the
world,
better
those
combat
jungles.
in 7
Yeah.
remake.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll get to it. There, like, I'll mention all the games that probably will have been on my top list if I had played them. But for now, I'll mention my number one, and then
Which is my number
Tyson
3.
which is his number 3. What was your 2? Your 2 was Last of Us, right?
Last
yeah.
of Us.
Oh, maybe that's why. Oh no, I don't know. Maybe I didn't skip you.
I don't know.
No, I
we
think
were-
I did. No, I
it
said.
got-
I said 3.
it got muddy.
Oh, I went to 3, and then you said
Last of Us
that
2.
your 2 was Last of Us. So I thought that was like your pick, and then I went to my 2,
Yeah.
and then okay. Fucking, my dog wants to play so bad. She's looking
This
at
game,
me.
a dark horse.
Dark Horse. So
What a game.
I was very conflicted on putting it as my number 1, but like, I don't know. I think I just needed to, based on how it did grab me and how it did actually like make me want to just play it. Like nothing else this year really did that. And I mean, Genshin, I would say probably did that for a little bit where I was really into it. Rogue Company definitely, but like those are different types of games. Like my number 1, my favorite game of 2020 is Immortals Phoenix Rising. What a good ass fucking video game. Like I went into that game knowing that it would be very much my type of game. And you know, sometimes you go into things, whether it's movies or TV or games, you go into something just wanting to like it. So like you're going to, you know what I mean? And I went into Immortals like ready to like this game, and I was so into it. And like it literally did pull me in so much that like there was one day where I was supposed to work on a Saturday, and then I was like, you know what, fuck it, I don't need to. And I just streamed for like 8 hours just all day playing Immortals because I just wanted to play more Immortals. Like it pulled me in, and I played it nonstop until I beat the main story. I mainlined the main story. And my goal was to mainline the main story because I was liking it so much. And I beat it on hard, which is not something I ever do. I never turn a difficulty to hard.
You're turning into a gamer.
Oh my god. But I turned it to hard because like normal just felt kind of like, I don't know. I felt like I wanted a little bit more of a challenge, and I was enjoying the combat, so I was like, oh yeah, sure, let's kind of do that a little bit more. So I put it on hard and I beat it, and I mainlined the story because I knew that I wanted to restart it on New Game Plus in Nightmare difficulty, which is again something I've never fucking done. And I've been doing that every night since, so I'm still playing it. Like, it's wild. Like, no game really has grabbed me like this in a while, where I do just want to be in that world. It is, and I don't know, it's just perfect for me. I like cartoony video games a lot more. I like cartoony art styles and colorful art styles, and like, it was just very perfect for me in the way it's presented. It's it has a big focus on humor with the writing. The combat is a lot more action focused and like superhero kind of like moves, and you got big hammers, and like it is very, and as you go, you like, I use this example a lot. By the end of the game, you feel a lot more like a god and a lot more like a superhero than at the beginning of the game, when you're kind of like, meh, you got a sword, and then you get an axe. But like by the end of the game, you got all sorts of shit. And it's fun, and it's flashy, and you move around, and you feel the flow of the combat. But like, it's different than, say, in the fucking Witcher, by the end of the game, you have really good stats, and your armor's better, and your swords are better,
Witcher's
and
more of
maybe
an
you have
RPG.
some cool... Yeah, but that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, this is a lot more of an action adventure with RPG aspects, where your skills, there are some RPG things in there of like upgrading your defense and your damage on your sword and stuff like that, but like it is a lot more of like focused on flashy abilities than like by the end of the game your sword's better, you know what I mean? Like it is a lot more along those lines that I like. Like my favorite game of all time is Infamous 2. It's a lot more Infamous 2 like with what you upgrade and the stuff that you get. Like the world is beautiful. I love the 4 different zones. The puzzles are just hard enough to kind of like get your brain working, but not like, fuck, I'm going to be stuck here forever. Yeah. I have yet to do any of the really late game vaults, which are like the dungeons or shrines or stuff like that. Which is such a bummer. I mean, this and Genshin, man, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about both of these games is because throughout the entire year, they've been lumped in as a, like, you know, that's the fucking Breath of the Wild clone. How does it compare to Breath of the Wild? Like every time, like literally, I listened to an entire like Gamescast, like Kind of Funny Gamecast, where they talk about Genshin, and all they could talk about like was asking Blessing or Imran like, oh, how does it compare to Breath of the Wild in this aspect? It's like, but it's its own fucking game. Like it does absolutely take certain visual cues and stamina cues. Like that's the thing.
Immortals
in Immortals
is a
and
pretty big Odyssey clone.
Odyssey, yeah. It's more so clone. Odyssey than Breath of the Wild. Like
it's definitely not a Breath of the Wild. Well, it has the dungeons.
That's the thing. Everyone in Genshin and Immortals, everyone sees the visuals and they see a shrine comparison and the stamina with the climbing and then gliding, and they're like Breath of the Wild clone. And that's what both of those games have that are similar. But then they do other shit. Like, sure, you can climb and have stamina. Sure, you can jump and glide around. There are shrine comparisons. That's it. Like, it's so
definitely
weird.
More, that's the thing. Is like I've played it. It's definitely more Odyssey than Zelda. Genshin is Zelda with better combat. Immortals is Odyssey.
Very different combat, and it's a fucking JRPG, and like it has a story, and like
it's a CRPG.
I know, but it feels very JRPG with like its story. You know, it's very like it's an open world RPG. It's not necessarily like, and it's very RPG with how you're upgrading your characters and your weapons and your artifacts and shit. Like Zelda doesn't do that. Like slightly, like Breath of the Wild slightly did that, but like I don't know. That's been a very frustrating thing to listen to throughout the year between those two games. And it was really bad with Genshin. But in general, people just aren't talking about Immortals. But like Immortals, I don't know, man. I put it as my number 1 because I think I had the most fun with that game this year. I think it grabbed me more than any game, and I'm still playing it, and I'm excited for the DLC. Like it was a digestible length. I think the overall message, we haven't really talked about that, but like the message of the game is very much good. Like absolutely.
It got a little what is it? After school special.
Sure. But
there were some times where it was like it got a little too cheesy, just a little bit, and I just chalked it up to like it was kind of the end, and they had to like tie a bow on it.
Yeah. But overall, I did like that the message with all of the different gods is like absolutely like everyone has their flaws, but like, you know, a lot of the times the flaws are what makes you who you are, and you have to go through shit to be better. Like, that's it. Like, I mean, Hephaestus, like his whole essence that was gone. Slight spoilers, I don't know, but like
that was the essence, one I didn't like though.
Oh really? I liked Hephaestus's because I thought that tied in a lot with the message even more. Was like his essence that he was missing was like his struggles and his pain and his suffering that he's been through. And like when he got it back, it's literally like because the version of him that was creating art was creating very hollow, basic art, and then when you got it back, he was able to then move forward and create things like better than he could have ever imagined because of the pain that he went through, and made him into a better person who he is now. And I was like, honestly, a really nice message and like a very wholesome little message for such a nice
wholesome game.
Wholesome game. Yeah, absolutely. I really liked it. I thought it was very fitting tone-wise for like this year, you know? Like I really liked it. It's one of my favorite games that I've played this year. They're doing weird shit with the DLC, and I'm excited to see when they actually have dates on that.
I wish experience was dolled out differently, like how you level up. Because like there are some things where you needed like the blue crystals, but then you also needed like the red crystals or the purple ones, and like I hovered over where to find those, and it's like, oh, in chests and
I never even like tried.
That's the thing. Like once you want to get like everything leveled up, you can't just like farm. You can't just farm like,
No.
oh, I'm just gonna like farm like a whole bunch of enemies. That only gives like
I mean,
one
you just
specific
kind of
thing.
like get it as you play the game, you know. Like I
Not the
feel
one
like
currency
with those,
you will run into.
Which
You
one
will
is
run
it?
into it. It's like either I think it's the purple or the red gems.
there's one. I mean, most of all of that just comes from chess. So like
Yeah,
as
it's like,
I've gone,
I don't like opening specifically chests for this one currency because like I don't
yeah,
like.
but like I'm gonna open chess anyways.
But I'm
That's
not
what
gonna
I've been
seek out-
doing is
I want to
opening
play
chests.
the game.
Sure.
Like I like
But,
a
like, that's what I'm doing.
like an. I guess, but just like chests, I don't know. To me, it's like even in Destiny, I don't open like region chests because it's fucking boring.
Yeah,
I
but
would rather
like,
I would
don't
rather
know,
get
I'm-
experience and get resources from the actual enemies. So it's like instead of having like specific chests always give you this type of crystal. Maybe it's like this type of enemy always gives you this type of crystal instead.
Sure, but I don't know. That's not really. That's more along Genshin's lines, you know, where Genshin tells you like, oh, you can go here and kill
Yeah.
this to get this kind of material and whatnot, and that's just definitely not the game that Immortals is. Like Immortals,
but I mean,
is,
like, I don't know how to explain it. It's
I
just
see
like,
what you mean.
but just like because you have all of these chests, also the way you find things is fucking atrocious. First time,
God damn it, God
first
damn
time,
it, dude.
First time was
with
cool. I was like, oh, this is interesting. But then it's like, I don't know, maybe once you complete the mission, like complete like say Aphrodite's
Everything
like,
else like,
mainline
pops up.
quest, then everything is like that happens in Ghost. One good thing about Ghost is that like you'll finish the chapter of the what is it? Like say the bottom area, and you'll move to the second area, and then everything will be revealed to you in the bottom
Oh,
area.
I didn't even know that. That's really nice.
Yeah.
I might
was
just
like-
mainline to try and get that.
So it's just like that's the kind of shit that's like, because the way you find shit is it was cool once maybe,
So
but yeah, it's so bad.
to people who don't know, you climb up a tower in an area like very Assassin's Creed, and then you scout. So like in Breath of the Wild, you know, you would climb to the top of the tower and you'd see a shrine and you mark it and you go over there. It's that, but like you can just mark everything, right? You can just ding ding unlock it all on the map, but you have to hover over all of it. And like again, I like the idea in theory, but in practice, all they needed to do was add one little extra thing where is if you're looking right here and your crosshair is pointed and you're not on an item, all you need to do, show a little arrow to the next one and then follow it. And then boom, boom. That way you know that you're not missing anything. That's it. That's it. But when you go up there, you have to just scan and just spam the E button, just hoping that you hit every single little one. And then even at the end, you're not sure. You're like, I could have missed something. I don't know. But like as if they had added just one thing to be like 2 left, maybe in the bottom right, it'll say 2 left. It'll have the amount that you can see in your range, like something like that. That would have been awesome. But yeah, that is the one thing that annoyed me. Every time I climbed up, I was like, God damn it, here we go. Gotta fucking search these out.
terrible.
But yeah, I'm playing it again in Nightmare mode right now. I'm doing a lot of the vaults that I haven't done before, which is exciting. I will say the more vaults and more optional shit you do, there's a lot of cool like armor and weapon skins and shit. Like I look like a fucking badass right now. But I'm really excited to actually see all of it. The DLC is like literally the first one is what you would expect. Of like, oh, you know, you're going back in as Phoenix, you got a new area to explore, new quests, right? The second one, completely new character, set in Chinese mythology. Completely just different.
Risky.
Third one, isometric, over-the-top gameplay, new character, what the fuck? New genre.
Again,
What the fuck?
very risky.
So
but
weird,
we'll see.
so weird. But I'm excited to like see all that. I actually do have the season. This is like the only game this year that I bought the season pass because I knew that I was gonna beat it and I knew I would want more. I have beat it. I want to like get all the trophies. Like I don't know, it's weird. And I am still playing, so I don't know. But I will put it at my number 1 because I think that's the game that is not only really good, but like I just got the most hooked into this year.
Yeah.
Like it just grabbed me and I wanted to spend time in the world. Like I don't know. Like Ghost is fantastic and I really do like Ghost, but like and I like I think I probably like the combat in Ghosts maybe a little better. I don't know. But like I really like the combat in that game. But like I don't know if I necessarily want to spend as much time in such a serious samurai like dark. It's not dark, like it's a colorful world still, but it's like, you know, you're in a world where like sometimes I just want to be in a playground, and Immortals is a playground. Like that's absolutely what it is. So I really liked it. That's what I have as my number one. I will say, so these top three here, Immortals, Ghosts, Last of Us, like it's weird because I know that out of those three, I think Last of Us is the best game out of those three. But I think Immortals is my favorite. Like that's what I mean. Like, I don't know. It's odd, but I think that is the case. I think I would literally reverse it where it's like Last of Us would be 1, Ghost would be 2, Immortals would be 3 if I were to like critically analyze it, but Immortals is my favorite. So that's it. And then it was your number 3.
Number 3 is mine. Immortals.
Nice. I'm glad that was your number 3. That makes me happy. So we're back. I do want to say closing thoughts on the Game of the Year things. Miles Morales, Valhalla, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Hades if I spent more time with it. Like, there's other games too that came out this year that I just didn't play. So those would probably be on my list, especially Miles. Miles is the biggest one where I'm like, that would probably
be
the
intro
5.
mission, but that's not enough to put it in my top 10.
Yeah. I would probably have Miles in my top 5 if I played it and beat it.
But
like,
you don't know.
It seems perfectly me.
You don't
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like, just as a guess, like, it probably it's set around fucking Christmas. I love that's very Teddy Chinaris. It's fucking Miles Morales. Into the Spider-Verse is it's like one of my favorite movies of all time. Like,
Miles Morales
is
that I 10 times better than Peter Parker.
10
times.
Facts.
10 times.
Facts, dude. Facts. Spitting straight facts. So that's it. That was a long one, but Game of the Year, dog. We're gonna get out of here. Game
of the Year, it's gonna be a long one because we got 10 games each.
Oh yeah.
We only had a little bit of overlap, but
yeah, we wanted to talk about. I'm glad we still got to talk about some TV stuff.
I'm gonna try
keep people
this
updated.
week. I'm gonna try and while we go through our top 10, I'm gonna write like I'll put a graphic on the video. So watch the video version.
Holy shit!
So it'll be like your top 10 will be top right, and then like each time you go through one of yours, I'll like put the next one. It's not that. That's not that hard. Shit. That's pretty easy.
I was thinking of adding timestamps at least slightly of like Game of the Year starts here and like TV and stuff, but I don't know. I might do that.
Again, we'll get better at this stuff as we go.
Back is the only thing, so I don't know.
We just gotta roll with the punches.
Yeah. I would do that, but it's just like I don't know if I can. I would want to skim it because I don't want to watch the whole 2 hours because I don't have that time.
You just eyeball it, and then if we're in,
I gotta just
if we're in it already, you just like minus 5
something.
minutes or something, and then that's good enough.
Yeah.
Because I've like hit other time codes on other podcasts, and it's not exactly when it starts. It's like a very rough estimate.
I might add those, but yeah. So follow the YouTube channel. Tyson and Teddy Talk is where the video goes up. Subscribe, smash that bell. Just smash it. Just throat punch that bell. Fucking follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Teddy Chinaris and Twitter and Instagram and YouTube, and follow Tyson in the streets.
Don't follow. I'm not going in the streets. Because you're supposed to stay home, wear your mask, wash your hands, all that shit. You can find me on Twitter at Tyson Pellegrini, Instagram Pellegrini_17. I'm gonna post more shit. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I gotta figure stuff out. But again, I'm not gonna think about it too much. And then Twitch, twitch.tv/T Pellegrini. I streamed the intro a little bit of Mass Effect 2. We got Garrus, our baby boy Garrus. I'm playing on like hardcore, and it's really hard. Like it's really hard. Also, it's doesn't control like well because it's again a very old game, and so like you'll stick to corners when you want to like turn around and sprint. It's frustrating, but I probably will be continuing that on Twitch. So follow the channel to make sure you'll know when I'm going live. Don't click the notifications though, because everybody hates those. Just always be on Twitch, and then you'll see if I'm on or not. That's the difference.
There you go. There you go. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. Have a good one. Be nice to each other. Bye.
Let us know your top 10 games of 2020 in the comments section below. People say that, right?
Down below.
Down below. Okay.
There you
Peace.
go.